Delightful. Hey, it is the Bennington Show on a Monday. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington. Now, last night, Game 7, Cleveland Cavaliers, the comeback kids, considered dead by Chris Stanley.
Yeah.
Vito, the modern-day Nostradamus, said keep an eye on those Cavaliers. They go up 4-3. Now, Game 8 is going to be incredibly important because if you don't win Game 8, no way do you win Game 9. So, best of luck to Golden State. Just another loss. You got to go back into Cleveland for Game 8 and beat those bastards. So, big night all the way around last night. You had that game. You had Tits and Dragons apparently having one of their biggest episodes ever.
Yeah.
And then the WWE for the Nerd Boys. Now, I'm going to go to Vito because I know you. By the way, let's do it quick. I forgot to do it. Who picked the song today? Vito, you go first.
Ron Bennington.
Let's go to Chris.
Gail Bennington.
All right, that's 1-1. Fuck, this is like the game. Joey Jojo will be the tiebreaker. Joey.
Ron Bennington.
Oh
my God.
Here's the thing. You know I don't like theme things. You know, I don't like to tie in. That's straight Gail Bennington all the way.
He said, isn't this too on the nose? And I said, I think everyone's going to enjoy this.
Yeah. And then when I said on the nose, I actually put my finger next to my nose as a way of really just sending it home. I can't wait for Game 8. I bought tickets. A lot of people are spending a lot of money. I got 3 tickets for $750.
Wow, how'd you do that?
Let's say I got connections. Game 8.
I guess Game 8, the seats get a little cheaper.
I hope so. You know, by Game 9, maybe I'll be getting them for like $75 a piece. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. It is America. Never give up. This is why I always try to tell Chris Stanley, you're down 3-1 in life, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you just fucking count the lights and let that go by?
Should I fight back? Like, try to, come back? Get 3 in a row?
What did the WWE do when everybody's watching all these other things last night?
Well, I think they had one match go a little later than it was supposed to wait for the end of the game because there was a buffer match that ended like 2 minutes before the game ended. And then at halftime, like a really big match started.
That's hilarious.
So they just timed it out.
Yeah.
So who was the jobbers who had to fight that short match?
Titus O'Neil and Rusev had a match that went a little later than it should have.
Anything happening with Michael Hickenbacker? Is that still going down? Is he happening?
No, he doesn't wrestle anymore.
Bruno Sammartino? Anything up with him?
He's in the Hall of Fame now. That's a pretty big deal.
That is a big deal. That's great. So he's in Rush, Kiss. It's fucking crazy. First of all, Bruno never even played an instrument. So how's that rock and roll?
It's ridiculous.
Now, and then Tits and Dragons was a big show last night.
Gigantic.
So I think I read today a lot more murders than ever, or more deaths, or what was it?
Well, basically 2 armies fought, and there were just about 9,000 people died.
Yeah, they were saying it might have been the biggest death count.
Yeah, it was.
And that's what you guys like, dead people?
No, it was gruesome. But, there were a lot of things that happened because of this battle that you'd been waiting for a long time. It moved the plot in a certain direction.
The thing about Game of Thrones that I loved, it's just ripped right out of the headlines. I mean, every single week, you're like, okay, I guess that's Trump. Well, what is this now? The Rio Olympics, with the Zika.
There's a lot of ladies coming to power right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Could be Hillary.
Daenerys Stormborn is definitely Hillary Clinton.
Who?
Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen.
You're not embarrassed just of saying that?
No, it's fun.
So her name is Daenerys Stormdrain. So the thing about her is what? She's got magic?
Well, she's the mother of dragons.
Okay. So she actually gave birth to these dragons. Kind of. Sometimes when people walk by, I try to pick the star and pick the fucking lackeys. And sometimes, like today, very difficult.
It's not easy.
Sometimes it looks like 3 lackeys following around a lackey.
The entourage dresses alike a lot of the times. This is what happens.
Wow.
Entourage.
Oh, okay.
I could tell there was a word in there that you
Well,
could
I'm thinking, did he go back to Game of Thrones?
No.
Entourage is the queen of fucking hearts. So the women, do they have swords and do they?
Yes, some of them have swords.
And they fight tits out?
The Dothraki women do fight tits out.
Dothraki.
Yeah. It's like a race of people.
Like, they would be our what?
Clad.
Blacks?
I would say more jihadi.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's a kind of like a Middle Eastern vibe.
I did not know jihad was a race. This is new to me. Thank you, God. Any laughs ever on that show? Is there any comedic things?
Well, it's always said with like a British thing, so it's more like a looks like he got him. Like with like a little burn, but it's not like a hot, like it's not like actually funny.
Okay, good. It's British funny.
Yes, it's like
dry humor.
Yeah, dry.
They say dry, but they do a lot of silly stuff, like a man just wearing a bra.
It does seem like they only have two modes. Like it's completely absurd or very witty, very tongue in cheek,
and using things that people don't know about. Tim Knight attacking Chris for picking the Warriors.
What's wrong?
Go Pack Joe. Carla wants to know if we know that Go Pack Joe. And Billy Parker is happy to hear Chris try to review Tits and Dragon while Gail translates it to English.
It was one word. It was entourage.
Entourage.
The whole entourage.
Entourage. And the way you said the Queen of Dragons' name.
Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen. Breaker of Chains.
Now,
Mother
do you
of Dragons.
keep a glossary on your lap, or you're just nerdy enough that all this matters?
It all comes straight from the head. And I don't need a glossary at all.
Why did you point at your crotch when you said straight from the head?
Oh, it's just for you.
Oh, by the way, we went to D.C. I'm going to pick up a thing. Why do you think that is a train? What is the fucking train? Is it a conductor that walks back and forth? Who's that guy who does the tickets, please thing?
I guess would you still call that a conductor?
I've always called him a conductor.
Okay, because he tapped me on the shoulder. Something about you when you were sleeping, Chris. What do you think it was?
I was snoring, maybe?
You would think. Now, your mouth was wide open as if we had found a dead body.
Yeah, it was really scary.
But I
didn't know you slept like that.
Chris does something that some people feel to be fine, and other people believe the most antisocial thing a human can do. I know some people who get furious about this. For me, doesn't bother me. Some people, like I said, drives nuts. You had taken off your shoes and were sitting around in your stocking feet. And he says, could you have him put those on? And I go, well, he's sleeping. So I don't know whether it was the guy who got on at the airport, but I don't know how he could have complained because he was trapped by you and you're sleeping.
Yeah. Well, who's attacked?
Which, by the way, if you're on a plane, that isn't the worst thing. You're inside. You think I might have to piss, and the person next to you is sleeping, and you're like, I don't want to fucking wake up someone. Maybe I should just piss on them.
Yeah. These are my only two options.
Yeah. Now, sleeping, by the way, is not a guarantee that anyone gets anywhere in public.
Right.
I know Vince McMahon would, when he had the private jet that he would fly, if anyone was sleeping in the jet, they were done. They were out of his group because he felt like they were sleeping in his living room. He did not like someone to come in and treat his jet like a flop house. For him, it was like if you showed up in his living room, you had to be social or whatever. And I kind of get that.
I understand it because I know I don't fall asleep on transportation, but some people feel very lulled by the...
Absolutely, and you're bored, and Chris doesn't read or prep anything, so obviously this is a dull time for him. But do you hate seeing people in their stocking feet?
I don't. It's not my favorite thing. I definitely would not complain about it.
Yeah.
But if somebody was doing it a stranger as opposed to like a close friend.
Chris would. For you, Chris is probably the best friend you've ever had in your life. But to everyone else on that train, he was an absolute stranger. I'll put this up for vote because I know, Vito, it probably doesn't bother you. I'm going to guess.
No, it's no big deal to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if he was sitting there in his underwear. If I'm going to be totally honest. 844 Rock God. 844 Rock God. Do you hate if someone takes their shoes off in public? And I swear to you, some people act like he's got a stink foot out. I'm like, there's no way that you smell socks. And they claim it happens all the time.
There's also a lot of people on a train who would be wearing an open toe. Aren't their feet out?
Some people,
even more so than the socked foot,
hate open toe. We did a town hall recently where an older gentleman was sitting there with his toenails out, and I kept, anytime I was just looking over at them, and I was thinking to myself, see, there's two things. I see New York City like a factory town. I think you got to go steel tip.
Yeah.
If you're gonna look, there's so many things that could fall or drop or scuffles that you could get into. I think men or women, open toe is insane.
Yeah, I have done it. It's never a good idea to wear an open toe on the subway.
Now, Chris, why did you feel comfortable enough to take on... I just saw that Ramon Rivas says he's calling in today to talk about how dope Cleveland is. But Chris, why did you feel comfortable enough to go straight open toe?
All right, look, it's a 3-hour whatever ride.
3-hour tour.
And I felt like, look, I want to be comfortable for this thing.
But you understand that we live in a society, correct?
I understand.
And there's plenty of things that we could do for our own comfort that we don't because we're in a society.
Yeah.
A lot of people would like to take their penises out. I think you would stop before you got to that point, right?
Not taking the dick out.
All right, so you know there's a line.
Yeah.
Do you understand that some people would look at your socked foot the same way you would look at his exposed penis?
I think that maybe part of what would upset me is when I see people who just do it with comfort. And you're like, yeah, don't you think we'd all like to have our shoes off? Like, we'd all be more comfortable that way. But we're all, holding up a certain level of respect for people who it bothers. So I'm more, when I looked over at you, I was like jealous at your just willy-nilly ability to offend your seating partner.
Like Wordy Turdy writes this to us. Shoes belong on your feet in any mode of public transportation. And then he puts a hashtag gross next to it.
See?
My feet didn't stink. They were clean.
The Queen says they don't allow unshoed, hooved animals on public transportation. Now, I will agree with you. I didn't smell your fucking dogs.
Thank you.
But even if I did, I'd be like, look at that sleeping stink foot. He's just, you know what I mean? Like, I thought you needed to get some much-needed rest. All right, we will get back into this in just a moment. But as we said, Cleveland rocks. It was a history-making night. The Cavs come back and win it last night. LeBron cried. LeBron, formerly known as the Whore of Akron, the man who turned on Ohio. Tammy Pescatelli is on the line. She's lived. This is her home. She's suffered with the city. And last night she got to celebrate with the town. And why do I have a problem with line 10? Tammy, I know that you can hear me.
Tammy.
But my team didn't put anything together as we started the show today. This monitor is out now.
Yeah, that monitor needs to be replaced.
We don't set up the Lappy, and line 10's not ready to go.
Hello,
Tammy. There you are, darling. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm also the Whore of Akron.
Well, that's for a different reason, though. By the way, check Scott Robb, the man who wrote the book, The Whore of Akron. See how did he feel redeemed or what last night?
I think people are just happy to have something to wear back on Casual Friday.
All right, Casual Friday is back.
I think that was, it's unbelievable. I can't explain it to you guys. I know that, you live there in New York. Most places don't have, you've had a winner in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to explain it to my husband. He's like, I don't get it. I mean, I know you love them. I know you're from Cleveland. It's like if Bigfoot walked into the backyard. You heard about it. There was always a possibility, but you really thought it was never going to happen.
It is really bizarre because you go back, I think, 54 years. You got to go back to Jim Brown, pre-Super Bowl. So Cleveland never won a Super Bowl, but they had great teams right before the Super Bowl. But this, in a lifetime for most of the living people in Cleveland, did you believe, let's say, halftime when you're down 7, are you still think you could come back or no?
I think, you know what, we've lost so many games. I used to joke. I used to say that the Browns could lose a game on the way home from a game. We've lost so many games, like, at the last minute. So for this to go to, like, the last 34 seconds, it's not improbable that we would lose. I mean, literally, when LeBron went down and it looked like he was hurt and the whole team, the first ever going, okay, maybe he's trying to get a flagrant foul. I'm like, all right, good for you. You did a good job acting in Amy's movie, like, you should really good job. He's acting. He's doing great. And then the whole team clears out and comes to look. And then they break for a commercial. I'm like, wait a second. And then the excuses begin formulating in your head. You're like, this is why. Not only are we not going to win, they're going to kill him. He's going to die
Right.
of a staph infection, from a broken wrist. Like, it's going to be on us forever.
Now, how is it? Here's this guy, Cleveland burned his shirt, hated him, blah, 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 and he's the guy who brings it all back to you. Does that take it away at all, or?
I don't think, you have to understand, like, I hate to, like, we are just a bad relationship town.
Uh-huh.
I always think that people stay in the relationships longer in Northeast Ohio because they keep thinking maybe it's going to get better because of the sports teams, and it just never did. So I don't think that they really, it's like a battered wife. We just kept taking him back, and he kept promising, I'm going to bring you a championship, and then finally he did. I don't think anybody thinks about it. Look at him. He cried, like, for real. He already has 2 rings. He doesn't really care.
Right.
He couldn't, you know what I mean? But he cared.
But obviously the pressure, and it wasn't just like, I won it for them, but the pressure of what he would have known, what his life would have been like if he did. I mean, this was the whole point of going back to Cleveland. He had to redeem himself with those people and give them a ring. And when he got it, I mean, he didn't even cry like a dude. You know what I mean?
No,
it was
like they killed his mother. Really,
yeah,
and it's funny because the only thing I could say is, we're comics. It's the one person who's not paying attention that we always try to make laugh, and I think that's his mentality. Like, the town that believed in him, and then he he did spurn him.
Yeah,
and then and then we just kept doubting, and I think it was finally like. It broke. I don't even know how to act. And when I say me, it's a collective. Like, for the first time, I'm speaking like Shaq, like in the third person. I speak for everybody. I don't know what this day feels like. This is not a normal thing. There's never been a day where we heard we are the champions. You know, I mean, I never got to, I wrote this thing and I said, I don't know how to feel for Stephen Curry because I never was able to feel that. There was always hate, so there's never been respect. It's the coolest thing. We didn't even have you used to laugh at me too. Remember we were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the concerts are in New York. We don't have that in Cleveland. We don't even have a north side of Cleveland. There's a lake there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We only have 3 directions. So
I think there's people underneath that lake, but that's just me. I think the north siders are living underwater. But the people who don't like sports don't understand that thing of when something happens for a city that your old girlfriend is clapping, her husband and kids, your first grade teacher. You're connected to everybody from that area, even if you're far away. It's a weird feeling.
It is, and this is the day that I'm counting my friends. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened this year that my true friends have shown and fake friends have fallen, and this is going to be another one of those clearinghouse days. If I don't hear from you today, short of death, I'm done.
That is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Tammy, I just want to say congratulations on your big
Thank
win.
you. Gail, you're in. You're in.
See, this guy wrote, following Tammy on Facebook last night actually got me really emotional after that game. So, yeah, you can feel it even for... I mean, you think about this area. And not only, by the way, here's a person that Jim Brown's had to answer this fucking question for 54 years. He doesn't just get to go do an interview like anyone else. He has to say, oh, yeah, the city of Cleveland really needs a winner, and I think this might be the year. For 54 years.
Right, and by the way, he's our spokesperson, and he threw a woman off a balcony.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we deal with. Like,
But in his defense, she would not shut up. I mean, it was just constant with her.
Well, that's true. I'm probably close to being thrown off a balcony right now, quite honestly.
Well,
but I think it's, we don't have winners. We don't. We are American Splendor. You know that guy that used to be on Letterman?
Yeah.
The downtrodden guy. I can't think of his name right now. He's from Cleveland.
Yeah.
We're always second and third place. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I liked being on a show that people voted for me or things. Anytime I asked someone to vote, people voted because that's the only thing they could do. You know, like if they could have voted championships, they would have. It's just, we've just never seen it. So there's nothing, there's truly nothing like it. And even if you don't like sports, you look at a town that they took the industry out. BP Oil left. The factories closed. It's just been a rough time. So maybe this will turn around. I don't know. It's scary to me, quite honestly, that this happens and then the RNC is coming there because I'm like, there's a lot of potential for some drama to turn this.
Well, let's hope.
Around.
It's a fight in town, though. That's the good thing about it. But it is true of people from Cleveland or Youngstown, wherever they happen to be in that area. They live all over the country now, and yet they bring up that area every day of their life. These are people that were kind of forced to leave. They would have loved to have stayed there, but they were forced to leave because the jobs dried up. And so all those people today are having, the same feelings that Tammy is. Tammy, congratulations. You deserve this.
I love it. Thank you. Finally, something good. We lost Prince. We lost all kinds of. It's been a horrible year, but maybe from this point on, it changes. So I love you guys. You are definitely on my friends list.
Good,
and
thank God.
I'm shorter and shorter
close.
this year. So.
All right, Tammy. We'll talk to you later, darling.
Bye, Tammy.
I love you guys. Bye.
Now, I do kind of feel bad for the Golden State fans that have to go back to their $1 billion with nothing else.
Right.
At least the IPO deal worked out.
Oh, yeah. It could be lonely with all that money.
Well, this was the weird thing, and you wouldn't have seen this if it would happen the opposite way. Cleveland is celebrating, and you look into the stands, and the people were staying and watching Cleveland celebrate. If that would have happened in Cleveland and Golden State was celebrating, that fucking place would have emptied out. You just don't stay and watch someone else. But I guess everyone's like, we spent $15,000 for Upper Deck. We're going to stay and watch this celebration.
Get the most out of it.
But I would have got the fuck out of there.
It's disgusting to watch that.
It's just hard. It's a hard thing to watch someone's dreams come true for wrecking your town's dreams.
Yeah, because then you're just looking at them thinking, oh, man, that could be me right now. Like, look at how much fun they're all having.
But it's not. I'm getting the hell out of this town.
You kind of hate strangers when that happens. You think that you hate people, but you don't. You just want your team to win. Yeah.
Look at this smile.
Fucking jerk off drinking his fucking shitty champagne. I came past the Trump building today. Tons of fucking reporters out there. And it's because Donald had fired his campaign manager.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't know what they were all, they were just stopping. But what do you think about it? People are like, I can't believe, what I mean? Like, man on the street thing is the dumbest shit ever. I don't know. I think Donald will turn it around. What do you care what that guy thinks? He was just shopping.
A lot of people have been saying that he's going to turn it around.
We got our ears to the streets.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Trump will turn it around. We just heard it. The guy in the golf shirt. Back to you. Oh, still with me? I guess I'll try to find somebody else and ask them what they think. But it's really, this is the fucking funniest thing with Trump is this should be the easiest time that he's had in a year and a half. And he's had the roughest time because it doesn't make sense to fight with anyone. And he's still fighting. He's fighting with Republicans. Hasn't really even gotten around to fighting with the Democrats that much.
No.
But I was watching even the Chris Wallace Fox News just busting his balls yesterday. They're still talking about taking this thing from him.
I know. It's still a very real possibility.
I can't see that without a fucking a revolution. I don't see that you can take it away from the voters and say, look, I know you all voted, but you voted bad. We're going to put somebody in there. He's still going to lose, but he'll be our guy who loses and not you. I feel like people would lose their shit.
Yeah, at that point, it seems better just to take a wash on it and be like, okay, our party's not going to do it this time around.
Well, they're terrified that it isn't just the president, that they end up losing the House and all. And that shit's
Right.
so hard to get back. And it took them a while to get it. And then once you get it, you want to hold it. So because the American people are so fucking wacky that they only care about voting for the president, no matter where they are. That's the one that people turn out for.
Yep.
And that guy probably doesn't have nearly as much effect on your life as your own fucking local commissioner who decides whether or not those potholes get fixed and those people that have the cars in front of their houses have to either repair them or have them towed away. It's up to you. We will tow those cars away. And then you got to cut the grass where the cars used to be. That's the shit that affects your life. But we just vote for president. So they were thinking either people will stay away if they're mad at Trump or just vote straight Democrat. Like, fuck Trump. I'm voting for all the Democrats. So, and Trump will not make up with these guys. He just is like, hey, if you don't say something great about me, why don't you shut up? He literally said, if they don't have something good to say, they should just all shut up. I'm the guy who won. It's so funny and weird. And then yesterday he also said, look, I asked them to raise some money for me. I'll just take my own money. I already spent $55 million. You want me to just pay it? It's $1 billion. You're not going to pay it out of pocket. You're not going to do that.
You take check or how do you want to do this?
Hey, PayPal this?
There's sometimes I watch him and I'm like, I don't know with anyone with 1/10 of the confidence. He's like yesterday, like, yes, we will definitely win with them, and we'll definitely win without them. It doesn't matter. We're going to win, and they should probably come with me.
Now, what do you think how much of his staff has an influence in the way he handles things?
Zero.
Or you think 0%?
His
Everything
own kid
comes from
said
him?
that. His own kid said, no matter what we do, it comes from the top down. They all admire him. The funny thing is, the people who have worked for him, they like him, they enjoy him, they get a kick out of him, but no one thinks that they're like, no, we're not doing that, Donald. You know what I mean?
Right. There's no
I'm not going to allow you to do
advisors.
that. Because his confidence level is so high that if he thinks of something, he thinks it already happened. And he's not crazy. I mean, he is flying around with a plane with his name on it and his buildings with his name on it. He envisioned those things.
And he's come this far. Like, you cannot deny how shocking that is.
Dude, we all laughed the day that he was riding down. I mean, we were playing the Trump songs and dancing around and having a great time. But we were still, when he was riding that escalator down, we all thought it was the funniest shit we ever saw in our life. Speaking of the funniest shit we ever saw in our life, Friday we're playing Comedy 101. I've done a lot of shows over the years. I don't know if I've ever looked at an audience and seen them convulsing. I mean, people were screaming. I haven't gone back and listened to it. You have, Chris?
Yes, I have.
Does the recording capture the absolute excitement was in the air?
The insanity that was at? Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets it.
It started to feel like an all-out mania at one point because the night got progressively crazier and funnier, and
And you know what? There was a time I'm thinking, this extended screaming laughter has been going on so long that there's no way we can sustain this to the end of the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm talking about our judges were incredible. And I guess we're not giving away, or is it out there in Twitterverse? Or I'm sure people, will ruin the surprise. So we'll probably talk about it as we go along. But we had incredibly great comedians at the top of their fucking game. Just line after line after line
they
after
were
line.
so damn funny and so sharp that I started to feel like I don't want to begin playing the game because we spent a little time just talking to them and they were just slaying. And then as soon as the game started, it was just insanity. It was crazy how funny they were. And how wild and how progressively weirder the night got.
The whole night. I don't know whether Dan did a great job or a terrible job.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, we'll have to say some people are going to think terrible, but we'll explain it as it goes on. But we're looking into this because we've got Ali Wong on Friday. That was a great unmasked. By the way, I think one of the best specials of all time. I'm going to Muhammad Ali that and say of all time. Now, we're doing Opie Radio on Friday morning, so I'm thinking about playing Comedy 101 there. Now, is it true that we don't do promos anymore, Chris?
No, it's not true.
Because I'm just going by my own career.
Okay.
I know that we never do them. But we should promote this, particularly to run even during our show during the week, because I want people to know we're going to run that 9 o'clock on Friday morning.
I can't wait to listen back to it.
There were times during that show and everyone's fucking laughing, and I would think, how did that person come up with that so fast? And did they really just fucking say that? Can you say things like that in public? It was bizarre. And then they would come back and rip me, acting like I put together a mean show.
I know. That was the funniest part, is how often they would say something that was just so killer. And even the look on their own faces was like, I've taken this too far, right, guys?
What have I done?
But they couldn't stop themselves.
No, they could not stop themselves. They can't stop themselves from being hilarious.
It's in their nature.
Chris, you, Vito, Gail, that thing went off without a hitch. It was a very smooth show. I mean, we're talking about chaos, lightning in a bottle stuff, Anything could have gone wrong. It was really, really smooth. Matter of fact, over the weekend, I got to hear the playlist you guys put together, and I was fucking rocking out to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this fucking playlist. I would have just went to that show. And that was before the show started.
Yeah, that's not for the air right there. That was just a playlist.
That was fucking great.
We should start putting out our own records, our own medleys.
Well, that's the thing. You can't put that out and sell it.
Well, it's like a Kids Bop kind of thing, but it'll be like Bennington Bop.
No, but Kids Bop does not play the actual recording, the original
Yeah,
tunes.
we can sing along with it.
This is copyright infringement. I went over and did Skankfest and was listening to it on the way. That was a beautiful night. I mean, gorgeous outside. Long Island City is like a fucking, I don't know, it's like a resort town now. It's crazy.
It's weird.
It is. It used to be the scariest thing, like, am I going to get the coke or is he going to kill me? And now it's totally different.
It used to be seriously just strip clubs and like old buildings that were old abandoned buildings, industrial shit.
The kind of places like, do you ever like watch a movie and there's a warehouse where someone's tied up in it? And there's just a light, and then a German guy comes in to fucking threaten him with torture.
Fucking hostile.
That's where they shot these things. This is exactly where every one of those movies took place.
Yeah, but now that one strip especially is just great bars and restaurants and like really cute little shops. I haven't popped in yet, but it's so built up in the last.
But it isn't. It isn't even just that one street. It goes all the way down to the river now. Like every street as you go to the river looks like, fuck, I'd live here in a heartbeat. You know. Ooh, speaking of which, we were in D.C. and the three of us. Well, we were in kind of a nightmare situation with finding a restaurant. We thought we had a reservation. We didn't make it. So we went to our second choice in the middle of D.C. crying about a thunderstorm. And it was this great street that's, I would say, half on its way back.
Yeah.
And the other half, people who were still there that used to live there, and they would like some money from you. You know what I mean?
Over and over and over again.
Where you're going, can we progress a little more and drive out the people who've lived here for 50 years? Because it could be a huge street in a college town. So we were at this place, I think it was called Eat Bar.
Yeah, that's it.
And ordered everything on the menu. We had to wait a while to get in. Ordered everything on the menu, and then we just had a fucking feast.
It was amazing.
We were going to Periscope, but you couldn't get your Periscope.
In that block, there I guess kept getting
There's no
too
Wi-Fi.
slow. It's ridiculous.
They haven't made it to Wi-Fi
They haven't
yet.
caught up yet.
It's gentrification, people.
But yeah, that place
They're
is
not
fun.
totally gentrified. That's the problem. They're not one place or the other.
Yeah, and that place, it was so fantastic. The food was so good, and jukebox.
You could be a jukebox hero. You had a jukebox, free, go up and play your rock. A lot of good rock songs. They actually had albums.
Yes.
So you could pick anything off the album. And so you got good music, great food, great service. So it's Eat Bar, is that
Eat
the name
Bar,
of it?
yeah.
Let's tweet them like, thanks for a great night, Thursday night or whatever. Eat Bar, Eat Bar,
Okay.
Eat Bar,
Eat Bar.
Eat Bar number one.
Eat bar.
Something like that.
Hashtag tape
Eat
wall.
bar. Eat bar.
You are, just say you're the LeBron James of great rest. No, have one of, not you, Chris.
Oh, okay.
You're terrible at tweeting. You'll just
I'm
write,
awful.
Socks Off loves you.
Hashtag socks off.
Hashtag tape wall.
Yeah, we were playing with the tape wall. A little game called Make Us Choose. Gail would find, there's a whole wall of tapes. Gail would find two bands and then made us choose. Most of the time, it's an easy choice.
Yeah.
Occasionally, it's a heartbreaking choice.
Right.
Chris is the only one who ever voted for Jimmy Buffett all night. And you did that ironically?
No, genuine now.
You really do love Buffett?
No, of course not. I hate
don't
Jimmy
know.
Buffett.
See, that's the exact. We've got to have a fucking honest place here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a safe space, and if you're just spinning lies all the time
I'm
about
just
Jimmy
saying,
Buffett,
that tape wall had way too much Jimmy Buffett.
there was a lot of Buffett on the tape wall. But man, I mean, I don't know if EPAR is aware of what a great game they have.
They have a great game. They should be promoted, and we'll be back in a few moments. Just play Make Us Choose.
Make us choose. Make us choose.
All right, so we get this. We start off the night. And Vito, believe me, we thought about you all night. It's heartbreaking.
It was sad.
Yeah, but you had to stay here. Next time, I'll do everything I can to get you down there. I know why you didn't want you to come. It's $400 a night. At this faux hotel. Wait, before I get into the dinner, I'm going to say this. So I get into my room, and my TV doesn't work. So I'm looking around, is there an extra switch? Because I don't want to be the dope who calls down. And they're going, did you hit the TV switch on the far wall? You ever been in those places where you
Sure.
have to just turn on one switch? So I called down and go, is there a fucking trick to this? My TV doesn't work. And she's like, no, sir, there's no trick. She's like, is it plugged up? And I'm like, what? And she says, your TV, is it plugged up? I go, well, I believe that's impossible for a TV. I'm not talking about a drain. It's the
clogged.
TV. What do you mean when you say, is the TV plugged up? She goes, well, the maid might have came in and take the plug out. Is it plugged up? I go, look, I don't want to go too deep into the semantics of this, but it's plugged in.
I would never say plugged up.
And that's not a Southern. I know.
No.
I realize that the South starts there, but why would anyone say, "Is the TV plugged up" instead of the TV plugged in?
I don't believe that is a Southern thing at all. I've never heard it before.
Now, instead of saying, getting someone to come up here, I'm having this discussion.
You're in a 10-minute
about
debate.
plugged up or plugged in, and I go, look, I assure you, a TV cannot be plugged up. If I called about the fucking toilet, yeah, that could be plugged up. And then I would say, yes, that's why I want someone to come.
I don't think she even worked there. What a strange woman.
Cleveland, big night last night. They are the champions of the world. They won Game 7. Let's see if they can win Game 8 later on tomorrow night. And that'll be really exciting. But here's a gentleman, he's having the year of his life. He got the half-hour comedy hour. He's taken over Cleveland comedy itself. And now, of course, he's a champion. He's actually a champion, being a fan of the Cavs. It's Ramon Rivas. Ramon, how you feeling, buddy?
I feel beautiful, man.
Does it feel better or less?
Here's the main difference. Like, I've always been proud to be from Cleveland. I love Cleveland with all my heart. But whenever I travel, like I'm in LA for the next few months, whenever I would tell someone I'm from Cleveland, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Right.
So like, there's no more of that. That's done.
That's over.
That's over. So that's what I'm most excited about. Yeah, it feels great, man.
Now, last night, were you believing you were going to win, or it would be another Cleveland heartbreaker?
Last night, I told people kept asking me that, and I was like, all I want is a great game. I will take losing a great game, or I'll take winning a great game. But I didn't want one of those blowouts like the first few games.
Yeah.
And I knew if we played a great game, that the mental edge would be for us, just because you have all that, just the mojo of all the people's hope on you, and I feel like that comes through in that moment.
Yeah, the amount of people who were out in the streets in Cleveland believing before the game, and the funny thing is, when you look at it, they were all so young.
Yeah.
There were teenagers and guys in their early 20s, but they actually believed, and I'm watching TV thinking, I don't know, dudes, maybe you should be watching this in your house. Run out later.
Yeah, I watched it at this comic Ryan Dalton's house out in L.A., and a bunch of comics came over, and Al Jackson, who's also from Cleveland, was there. So, we were, as soon as we won, like, we were jumping up and down and celebrating in front of all these people who weren't from Cleveland, but they were happy for us. It was definitely a weird energy, but it was cool.
Yeah, there was a thing, and this is kind of why I hate the way people say to themselves, like, oh, I'm with Cleveland, blah, 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 bandwagon. This is why it's important to let the true fans enjoy and celebrate their night,
Man.
And not just because you wear LeBron sneakers, you celebrate. You know what I mean? Like, for me, the fun thing was to watch LeBron just fall apart.
Yeah.
Like Jordan's dad died again. That's how he cried. and then the people of Cleveland, just watching them live their shit. Like, you don't have to jump in the middle of it. You could just sit there and go, this is why sports is fun. And this is why when you have a losing tradition, it's maybe even more exciting than when you have a winning tradition.
Yeah, because you get this moment. You get to overcome it. Boston had it, in the 2000s, and I don't know, when the Indians are in first place in baseball, and then, it's just like Stipe Miocic won the UFC championship, and then, the Lake Erie Monsters won, the NHL is, and then I got my half hour, Cavs are winning. So,
yes,
all of a sudden,
you're a half hour. This is your year, dude.
This is Cleveland's year, man. Cleveland's crushing it.
Things are going so well. I'm worried that you have a tumor that you don't even know about.
Probably, man. That's why I'm avoiding going to the doctor, man.
Have you shot the half hour yet?
Yeah, I shot it a couple weekends ago in New Orleans. It was great, man. I was able to fly my family down, so I flew my mom, dad, sister and her 3 teenage kids down. And the kids have never been on a plane before, so that was cool. And it was dope, man. It went real smooth.
Dude, I'm really happy for you, man. You
awesome.
deserve it too.
Thank you.
We're talking about, a working class town, a level headed town, and Ramon is that kind of dude, you know what I mean? Like everybody likes him, and you're the kind of guy that we always want to see things happen for. When is this half-hour comedy special going to air?
This season of the half hour will start in the fall. That's kind of all the information I have.
Yeah.
I shot a little documentary. It's on YouTube called The Gentle Hustle. And it just kind of follows my last few weeks in Cleveland trying to get the money to take my family, and then like a trip to Atlanta and the lead up in New Orleans. And it ends with me going on stage. So it's pretty cool, like behind the scenes type of look.
That's really cool, man. I'm happy for you. Ramon, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
See you when you're back.
Bye, Gail.
All right,
Have
bye.
a good one. Bye.
Another one of the Cleveland comics that got to take that monkey off their back. Here's Bill in Cleveland. Bill,
hey,
how are you, buddy?
I'm flying high. This is one of the most amazing things. I was in Cleveland. I'm not, a sellout in LA like Ramon, but we all have our different skills, I guess.
But he was closer to the game than you were. No, he still lives in Cleveland. He travels though.
Oh, I know. He's out there. I'm super proud of Ramon. He's the half hour is amazing. He's just killing it, and just doing a lot of hard work that I can just piggyback off of, which I appreciate.
Good.
And last night was just insane. Just the overwhelming just joy that you saw on people's face is like nothing you've seen on the streets of Cleveland before.
Yeah, it does. It almost looks like it didn't belong there. It
didn't feel right. It honestly did not feel right. I was at the queue watching it with everyone, and everyone was whispering to themselves before it happened, what's going to happen? Like, we were all like, how is this going to fall apart? We were just waiting for that moment, and then when when we won, it was such a relief. It wasn't even excitement. It was just like a sigh almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it's going to take a while for this to get to the city, and you're going to have until the first game of the next year to enjoy it and put the banners up and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And even if LeBron leaves again, you still got the championship. You still got... This is going to be a 30 for 30, whether you like it or not.
Will they allow him to leave again and not...
Yeah, I think he did whatever he needed to do.
He can do whatever he wants now. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He could fuck my sister. I don't care. He can do whatever he wants.
Any of us could, though, Bill. That's not, that never was in doubt.
Okay.
Congratulations to you, buddy. And
thanks, guys.
Peace. All the little kids. Here's Scott in Philly. Hey, Scott, what's up?
Well, not to change the subject or take the heat off of Cleveland, but I was down at Atlantic City on Saturday night with my wife, and we saw Bill Burr, and he just absolutely killed. It was unbelievable. He went like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It was great.
Bill's at the top of his game, man. He's at the top of his game.
And, I came home yesterday and I watched some YouTube clips, and you could sort of see on Conan and Fallon him working out the show that he put on at Fort Moss Hall. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's what he does. He goes on the Tonight Show and the Conan Show, and he, tries out new material there, and then he takes it to Atlantic City when it's perfect.
That was great.
But it is really funny, man. It's the last couple of years that Bill, went from being this really funny guy to literally being like an institution right now.
And he just doesn't even seem like it's written down. He just kind of shoots from the hip. He doesn't. I'm sure every show is never the same thing. Whereas maybe some comedians do that. He'd go off on a tangent for 15 minutes, and tell everybody, sort of like the Bill Burr incident in Camden. Like, look at this hangar you guys are hanging out in. So it's like it's an ancient old building.
Look at this fucking hangar. Where did you see him at? Where did he play in Atlantic City?
It's called Boardwalk Hall now. I think it used to be the old convention center.
You know, when I was a little kid playing like Pee Wee style football, we went to the convention center and they had a fucking football field set up in there and kids were playing.
It's big enough for it.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was like only just like we probably played on 89 yards or something. It was
I don't think
fucking
they got 100 in
hilarious.
there.
Yeah.
He called it, at one point, he called it a Quonset hut.
It is a giant Quonset hut.
It is, but it's a giant.
But those were one of those things that they seem like so modern, and now you go back and look at it and you're like, well, we'd like to knock it down, but we'll never be able to build a building like this again. We got to figure out a way. All right, dude. Peace.
All right, thanks a lot, Ron. Take care, guys.
So that's how big of a joint that he was playing in.
It's massive.
Mike in New York. What's up, Mike? Mike, we got you, buddy?
Hey, sorry. I was just, I'm a Knicks fan from New York, and I remember watching him last night crying and thinking, when he did that whole Miami stint, he was a villain. And to have watched him just break down with true emotion, I just thought it was refreshing to see an athlete of his stature really just show the emotion of this is more than about money or the championship.
Guess what? I am so cynical, I thought that he was trying to do a Jordan. I'm not even making that up.
Really?
I was thinking, like, look how he's playing the angle of crying for a city. And then that droning woman who was interviewing him, LeBron, how do you feel now that you've brought this back?
That
LeBron.
She has the most interesting voice in anyone in broadcasting. I was fascinated by her.
Well, I'd like to hear it any time other than during a giant celebration. I hate when anyone feels... What is going through your mind right now? The guy's hyperventilating. He's crying so hard. He cannot believe that this is off his back.
You couldn't have chose a more low energy person to put up there with them.
LeBron. And then what's always funny in basketball, those guys have to lean their heads over so far to hear these small women that go out there, and it just makes them look ridiculous. The players look ridiculous now.
Get them some stools.
Oh.
No, like for the reporters to stand on.
A reporter's going to stand on a stool.
How about the players? It's about the players.
You don't think that would be distracting? Seeing this fucking woman teetering around on a stool. Look, Saki, you never... What did we write to eat, Bart? Do you know, Chris?
Bring it up right now.
Ba-da-da-da-do-do-do-do-do.
Thanks to everyone at Eat Bar DC for great food Thursday night and an amazing jukebox.
That's what we said. That makes it seem like, I don't know, like we're Yelpers. You wrote that?
I wrote that, yeah.
Stupid.
I should.
It seems too gentle.
I should. All right.
Thanks to everybody for amazing food and amazing jukebox.
I was trying to be, like friendly.
I don't know. I just wanted it was off the Chitty chain. I think would have been great. Vito, you might be the guy posting for us. Although your Snapchats have fallen off to almost nothing. Did you do one this morning?
No, I didn't have one this morning. We're going to have some this afternoon, though.
I know. You always tell me it's whatever I want it. Yesterday is coming up in 5 minutes. I know your Italian trick, all right? I know once you guys get in the union, there's three of you leaning on shovels, and then the boss drives up, and you're all acting like... We're digging the hole right now, boss. Digging it right now. I know what more we can do.
It's going to be finished by tomorrow, and you're going to love it. It's going to be beautiful.
I know. That's exactly him. And it's just a complete lie. And I know that he's taking furs and putting them in the fucking freezer. No, I'll take them. I try to say there's no way to know who the star is.
There's not one person there that I could figure out who the star was.
I feel like Girl in Hat was the star.
I don't know.
You still watching Silicon Valley?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Last night, another rough thing. I think the business is going under. I think it's probably going under.
They need more funding. Wait, no, they need more.
These shows
users
go and they start and you're excited, and 8 weeks later or 9 weeks later they're gone. Veep is already going to be gone. There's an election coming up.
It's perfect timing for
Amy
Veep.
Schumer did a clip show. I just figured out that the season is starting, and there's a clip show, and it's gone.
Yeah, I don't like it. Everything's like 10, 13 episodes at the most. Game of Thrones is over next week. 10 episodes. Done.
Good.
And it's one of those things where it's like half season, and then they make you wait a year, and then another half season. I hate this trend. I think it started with The Sopranos, right? I know Mad Men did it. I think
Breaking
maybe Breaking Bad did it.
But who did it first?
I think The Sopranos did that first, where they took like a year off and then gave you kind of like a shortened season.
They did everything first.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Larry David takes 5 years off.
Yeah. It really doesn't feel like
Lucy used to shoot 51 weeks a year. She took 1 week off to have another baby. Desi and then little Lucy. Her daughter's name is Lucy, right?
Yeah.
You're like the most famous person on the planet. And then you name another person after you and don't think it's going to be a nightmare for them.
You're me, like a little me.
It's fucking so mean. It's like literally a mean thing to do.
You'll never live up to this name.
I always think it's funny, too, when people try to find a place to put Father's Day like they did yesterday. When you know, like, even as a father, you're like, I get that this is a fake day. You know what I mean? I know. Oh, thanks for the hot hands. You guys don't know what hot hands are?
What are hot hands?
Keep your hands warm?
No. That's keep your hands from getting burns. They sell it on fucking TV. It's like a rubber oven mitt, right? If you're boiling fucking lobster, you can put your hands in and grab the lobster. You can you're making you're hard boiling an egg, you can reach your hand in. If you're on the grill, you can just going over and hit stop so I can fucking explain. Hit stop is what I'm telling you, just so I can set it up. So you can just turn the steaks with your hands. Now you think of a miracle like this. $100 for that? You get 2 pair of gloves for $10.
Wow, that's it?
Hot hands. All right, now turn it around. Turn on the fucking show so we can watch it in real time.
Enough to handle all the hot stuff. Remove the lid and watch.
Oh my
Hot
gosh.
Hands handles scalding hot steam like a dream.
Look, he's turning the bacon with his hands.
Silicone grips for sizzling hot casseroles. You can even move back the oven rack. You won't believe your eyes. Hot Hands flip.
You pick out the French fries right out of the grease. Look how heat bounces off of it.
Look at how it does
now
that.
look at this. He's going in and getting a hard-boiled egg.
My God.
He's grabbing the corn.
I don't know why something about it is gross. I can't figure it out.
All women say that it's gross. Every woman who I've shown this to, they're like, that's gross. And men think it, look, he's just tearing apart fucking pork. He lifts the fucking turkey out with his hands. Look at him with a big potato.
Then safely open the steaming hot pockets. Hot grills are no match for Hot Hands.
He's just flipping everything on the grill with his fingers.
Hot Hands rinse clean in seconds. And it's dishwasher.
Look, it gets clean in seconds.
I'm going to torch this old-fashioned oven mitt and Hot Hands. Hot Hands is the clear winner, hands down.
He just put out a fire with his hand, and then you can pick up a safety pin.
You can pick up everything.
Yeah. Now, here's the deal with Hot Hands. Yes, would you pay $10? But if you do now, you get an extra pair. But see what they do there's a weird thing that they say.
There, we'll even include the perfect Lovin' Oven thermometer.
And you get a thermometer.
Lovin' Oven.
Get it all for just $10.
Perfect.
So call now. Ouch! That pot is sizzling.
Now, they say something like there's just an extra fee. You know, like, I don't know what that would be. I thought the $10 would be the fee.
How much?
But I mean, these Hot Hands, it's $2.50 per hand, and you can reach into boiling water.
Now, I like the idea of being able to just stir your spaghetti in the boiling water with just your hands.
Yeah. You can get rid of any utensil.
I would really love it if they came up to at least elbow length.
I don't know how Hot Hands works so fucking well that heat is repelled by it, but it is the most amazing commercial. Now, right after that, I saw another commercial where women can spray paint their fingernails. You just take a fucking spray paint thing and you spray paint the fingernails.
It doesn't get on the skin?
then it just they've come up with this kind of thing that you put your hands underwater, that goes away, but the nails stay. And then they show a woman just really struggling, trying to do it with the little brush, and how terrible that is.
I have to see this.
Just how easy that is. I think might be nail hands or spray hands.
Everything hands.
But Hot Hands is the most amazing fucking product out there.
I'm not sure what it is about flipping all that hot food with your hands, but there's something really gross. It's on the equivalent of taking your shoes off on the train.
Nothing is on that equivalent. I like to give fucking Stanley some hot socks where he could just stick his feet in boiling water and never have another fucking worry in the world.
Hot socks.
Was it Spray Perfect?
There it is. Yeah, Spray Perfect.
Oh my God.
Look at Spray Perfect. Look how nice her hands look.
Okay.
And you're going to fall in love with this.
I already am.
Now you got to put a napkin down.
Are you serious?
And then you just spray paint like you were a Buick. And look how nice it comes out.
Spray Perfect gives you all over gorgeous color in seconds for the world's fastest manicure.
Everything was happening during sports yesterday.
Washes right off your skin with water.
See how easy?
Oh my God. I actually want Spray Perfect.
Well, I'd say Chris would get it for you, but remember the VR glasses that he lied about.
Oh, God.
And not only does he have his new glasses, but he has the cardboard glasses for himself, too. He's got everything over there.
Everything good.
And you swore to us, and you're like, no, everyone's getting fucking these glasses. That was 2 months ago.
Everyone's getting these glasses.
Chris, it's too late. All I'm going to think about is, like, should have been doing this for 2 months.
Never too late for virtual reality.
Is it too late for Hot Hands?
No, not at all.
I think this is the time for Hot Hands. And Spray Perfect.
Should I expensive Spray Perfect and Hot Hands?
Please.
You're going to get fired.
For the show.
I wonder how long the spray will last, though.
And the color's fantastic.
Look how much she likes it.
Yeah, she loves it.
She can't get enough of this.
She thinks the color's fantastic.
You know what? That looked perfect under a pair of Hot Hands. Do-do-do,
You can actually, that silver spray, you can spray directly in your mouth for Mad Max style, too.
Oh, good.
Sweet. That fucking stuff gets you high. What is it about spraying stuff into your face? It just fucking feels so good.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know about jinxing, but did you see that Joe Madden and the Cubs were dancing and singing on stage with Eddie Vedder? And, Chicago is the guys who did the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yes.
First.
They did begin that.
Andrea said that the less successful version of Hot Hands was the fingerless model. Do-do-do. And Hot Hands, no one ever even thought of this before?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this.
Who's the one who put the Eat Bar on Thursday? It was off the Chitty Chain.
That's what I did that. I wanted to redeem myself.
Could you please understand when I'm joking? I don't like my name up with Chitty Chain.
But it's a good thing.
But understand my sarcasm, please.
Okay. I was going to say in the hizzle, but
I'd rather. I wished I would have rather. Now, I did the mashup with Big J the other night, and right before we went on stage, Dave Smith goes, "You don't think the audience is getting a little sick of you guys working together all the time? Do you don't feel like it's went past itself?" This is what a terrible person Dave Smith is.
Why is he trying to get in your kitchen like that?
Well, that's where the food gets cooked. And I got the Hot Hands.
And I've got the Spray Perfect.
You're the only one interested in Spray Perfect. Peter, you do your pinkies, though, right? Isn't that it? You do a black pinky?
Yeah, I would do Spray Perfect with Gail. We could have a little fun night.
Oh, God.
That is uncomfortable.
Really?
I've always wanted a Spray Perfect friend.
You've got one.
We're
Vito.
Spray Perfect for each other.
All right, why don't you bust Vito on what he said that was so sweet when he was missing the unmasked?
Oh, yeah. I started to get text immediately after we were out of the unmasked. How did the Ali Wong Unmask Go. I wish I was there. Hope you guys are having a great time. And then he wrote, was it smart and interesting, big laughs, or both?
That is fucking adorable,
It was
Vito.
so cute.
That's adorable.
I wanted to know.
And then he wrote to me, don't forget to get me a laminate. He's a big fan of the show he works on.
That's great, though. I mean, Chris is just the opposite.
No.
He's
He
like,
hates it.
how can I fucking expense this up even further and have some pocket money?
Yeah, sometimes during the show I look over at Chris and he just gives me a thumbs down like, this stinks, right?
Really?
Never.
And I just go, no, it doesn't. It's good.
Well, this is... So I see Louis J. Gomez, and he's dressed like a fucking hillbilly at Skankfest, and I'm not even making that up.
Like a hillbilly?
Yeah, he had like a straw hat on.
Okay.
He had a Compound Media shirt, an Anthony shirt with the sleeves cut off. Now, this is a guy who just got done stabbing Ant in the back. And then I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you in a while. Why don't you come and do the show? He goes, I tried. Chris wouldn't even get back to me last week, right?
Chris?
So and Chris is standing. I go, Chris, you don't get back to Louis J. Gomez? He wanted to do the show. And Chris is like, yeah, he's going to do it. It's coming up. And I'm like, but this is Skankfest now. People promote before their big fest. And I got from Big J that Louis J. Gomez is the dreamer of the Skanks. He's the one who thinks naked roast battle, you know? Drug night where everybody does drugs, does stuff.
Every group needs a dreamer and a schemer.
You know, I'm a dreamer, but my heart. Here's the deal. The fucking thing about Motley Crue, 5 dreamers in that band.
A band full of dreamers.
Dreamers! You motherfucking dreamers! That was a fucking dreamer band, and then guess what? They ended up having breakfast in America, where there's plenty of it. They say it's the most important meal of the day, but I've done some research, and I believe the most important meal of the day is the next one.
What's next?
Looking forward.
While I'm eating this meal, I'm still thinking about what's going to happen at Eat Bar. Maybe that'll be off the Chitty chain.
I think that's going to catch on.
Hold on. Steven says, Hot Hands sounds like a ripoff of Glove. I've never heard of Glove.
That sounds dirty.
But you can't reach into a frying pan with an oven mitt.
No.
We've had oven mitts before. This is a rubberized glove.
Yes.
That you can reach in the boiling hot water.
Look, this oven glove, you can't use it.
No, that just looks like a regular mitten.
It looks like something you wear when you're sledding with your fucking cousins.
No, this is not correct. The oven glove, you might be able to pick up pots and pans of that, but you're not going to be flipping hot bacon.
You got to reach in the grease, yeah. You got to be able to. I want to get like a hot tongue where you could just stick your tongue into the grease. You're making fries, stick your tongue in. Thanks to tongue. Now, here's the deal, though. Chris Stanley, you don't cook at all?
No.
Why?
So
when you're on the road,
yeah,
you don't even know the difference.
Nope.
Because basically, even when you're at home, you're on the road.
Yeah.
It's just new options of places you can eat as opposed to
Chinese food or dollar pizza. I don't cook. I'll make tuna fish, but that's not really cooking.
That's not cooking.
No one's ever said
preparing.
Yes.
Preparing.
Like I'll eat cookies that I bought at the store. Is
Sure.
that cooking?
Does that count?
Well, I open the package, of
Right.
course, and I will sometimes put it on a plate.
Now I pour milk. Is that cooking? Technically,
that's mise en place.
I can't imagine the age of the mayo at his home.
But the other day I left the mayo out for a while and I forgot about it.
Yeah,
Still
and
good, though.
the Mayo Company
No,
is called Eisenhower's. That's how long it's been.
Eisenhower's mayonnaise.
And he's like, well, my mom bought this back in the late 50s. It should be good.
Still sealed.
You know what else should be fucking sealed is your ass.
But it isn't. It just truly isn't.
By the way, next time we go on a fucking trip of any kind, we're welding your fucking shoes on. You cannot be trusted.
Hot shoes.
Yeah.
That train were a bunch of squares. You didn't understand that taking off your shoes is just to relax yourself.
If you want to be cool, you got to take off your shoes.
Yes. We know how the hipsters of history enjoy sitting around with their fucking socks out.
Yeah. It feels comfortable.
You know what?
It's a long ride.
That, as you call it, convertible socks, where your heel and toes are sticking out of it. Because anybody who fucking doesn't cook also doesn't darn socks. Is that a word, darning
Yes,
socks?
that's exactly how you mend a sock. To darn.
Well, to mend is to throw it out and buy another fucking pair of socks.
Exactly.
They're not incredibly expensive.
I get them at the dollar store, so they're kind of like screwed up.
You get everything at the dollar store, dude. Like that fucking San Francisco bridge sign that makes 0 sense. Hey, by the way, since he quit smoking, look at how he can laugh freely now.
I know.
It's nice. 7 weeks.
Wow.
It's weird. It's very weird.
It's so strange. It makes me think you were never a smoker at all.
Well, he was a half smoker. He didn't inhale all the way. And he never smoked his cigarettes down too far.
Yeah.
He was like,
he would light one on the next, but he still was about halfway.
He was about a halfway smoker. So he was like 18 packs a day. And then he would come in here, he would laugh, he would cough, puke up something green, and then go back to work. But when he had like a bronchial thing going.
Yeah.
So you said, I think I'm sick from smoking. Plus, I figured out how much money I spend on smoking. It's insane. I think I should just fucking quit. And then he doesn't smoke again.
That's it.
I think if you don't inhale, it's really easy to quit smoking.
I do inhale, or I did inhale.
That must be why I struggled with it, and for you it was so easy.
Now, he does something now that he never did before. He does crazy pacing, and you do this, because you have 0 rhythm, and then you are...
I'm just drumming my fingers on the fucking table.
At random. Now, here's something that I was hoping would go away with the smoking. You still have a pretty serious spitting habit.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to go away.
Which I attributed to, just being a smoker, spitting the taste out or something. But no, that hasn't changed.
Well, he's the third base coach. So, yeah, you ought to go to sunflower seeds now.
I never liked sunflower seeds.
What?
Yeah.
Why? They're delicious.
I didn't like cracking them open. I felt like it was too much work.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
I don't find it fun at all.
What do you do for a hobby now? You don't smoke, don't drink. What do you do?
I've been rewatching The Office. That's just been depressing.
Wait, hold on. I know what his hobbies become. Very strong mints. Just mint.
How many of your strong mints? They're
out. I ran out. I gotta go buy more. I just ran out before the show started.
But he eats them like candy. And you just, all of a sudden, you'll hear a terrible sound like cracking bones, and you'll realize he's got 6 Altoids in his mouth.
I noticed what else he eats like candy, too.
What's that?
Candy.
You shouldn't.
You eat candy like an infant would eat candy.
Love it.
Just constant.
Oh, yeah.
But, he doesn't savor it at all. No matter what the candy is, he crunches and swallows as fast as he can. You never see someone who'll put 8 M&M peanuts in his mouth, and you just hear this crunching and break. It sounds like breaking of bones, and then a quick swallow followed by 8 more M&Ms.
Now, do you remember the time that I explained to him the fun of letting a Whopper implode, and then he, for days afterwards, hey, really, thanks for the tip on the Whoppers. I've really been missing out. He just been
changed everything for me.
Eating them just 10 at a time and just crunch, swallow.
This is the thing about Chris. He had no brothers or sisters or friends growing up. He had no idea of candy etiquette.
No, it was just do what I want. I want to fucking just crunch them up.
Catch as catch can in the candy world for you, isn't it?
But never any proper etiquette on a sock foot.
Nope. And I'm not the only person taking their socks off, taking their shoes off on a long trip.
Dude.
You're the only person on our car.
This is what's weird about him. He I was next to him in a urinal. He unzips. I hear this thing. I look over. He's unraveling a fucking condom off his dick. I go, what are you doing? He goes, I don't know who I'm going to meet down here. I go,
gotta be prepared, Ron.
I go, you put it on right before sex. And he goes, then she'll see me. And I'm like,
yeah, it's weird.
You actually think that your sperm doesn't work at all?
Nope.
I would love for you to go have it tested.
Maybe I will. I don't know.
What do you think? Do you think his sperm works or doesn't work?
I don't know. Why do you think you shoot blanks?
Because independent study.
He's never
Various
pulled out.
women.
Never. He's never
pulled out. And you've never really worn a condom, right?
No, I thought they were crazy to wear a condom. No real scares either. So, I'm pretty sure there's nothing going on in my sperm count.
Were you prepared to be a father all these times?
God, no.
So were you nervous?
Had you taken a sex ed course at any point in
Yes,
your
I've
life?
taken sex ed. I know how it works.
Do you think that and I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
Okay.
Do you think that you're so hideous that these women wouldn't even tell you that they went and had an abortion? They would just do it so they didn't have to get in a debate with you.
Of course, he means no offense by that.
Yes.
They know what they're signing up for.
There really should be a paper that one has to sign. Why don't we break here? It's the Bennington Show. One more time. Comedy 101, maybe the funniest show of all time. That's happening on the OP Radio, probably 9 a.m. We're going to run that this coming Friday. Also, Ali Wong. And, Chris, you forgot about this. You're giving away your Big J poster and 5 board cards.
That's right. Yeah,
That's right.
The signed unmasked poster signed by Ron Bennington and Big J Okerson. And then
why do you make me feel bad? You sound angry saying my name. Ron Bennington.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure I don't screw up the Bennington
Ron Bennington.
part.
Bennington.
Ron Bennington.
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 Just Bennington.
It doesn't have to be an emphasis on any syllable. Just let it flow.
If I don't put the emphasis on the syllable, I'm going to screw it up.
Then it becomes Bangton?
It becomes Bangton. Ron Bennington.
Go ahead.
Well, the poster is going to be given out and 5 download cards for Big J specials. People can download the special and own it.
Well, I need one of those download cards because I just saw it as the Bleep Show.
Yeah.
By the way, he's doing his show. Is it tonight that he does Bonfire?
Yes.
And he's taking on somebody that found him to be offensive.
Really?
Yeah. Av Club.
He's going to put him on blast today?
I guess either that or he's going to wimp out and just say, look, I'm sorry. I'm a dirty comic and I have the right.
Either
the
way,
way I do.
You should tune in. Check it out.
I wonder why Sutter won't have anything to do with any of the skank stuff.
I don't know.
You think that he would at least be a skank supporter?
Well, Big J was explaining during the Unmasked that he is the web that connects all these people.
Yes.
He's that center of it all. I don't know who would be in our club. I guess either Spencer Berger.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's just Spencer Berger. What am I talking about? You said he came in singing today?
Yeah, he came in singing. He had he made up a song. He coming through the door. This is him first thing in the morning. He's singing, "Good morning, USA. Spencer's going to have another wonderful day."
That's nice.
That's really pleasant. Because it sets the whole mood for the rest of the day, I bet.
Oh,
For
yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah. It was a big smile on my face.
So you going to be at the booking meeting later?
Yes, he is.
Good.
Let's call it the BM from now on.
Okay. Spence, let's be at the BM later. I can't wait.
Christine is bringing the board cards to Chris later today. And I'm involved in a new project, too.
What's that?
We've heard of Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be called Ginstagram.
Okay.
And it's just... It's people drinking gin and taking pictures of it. And also, you can send gin to your friends.
Okay, that's good.
What if I'm drinking whiskey? Can I go on Ginstagram?
No.
Doesn't.
We don't want you there. We just want gins drinking people.
What about vodka? It's both clear.
What aren't you getting about this, Chris? Because I'll fucking take your shoes off and I'll stomp on those little fucking piggies of yours.
Please don't.
And I know how to do it. I know how exposed they get. I saw those plump little turkeys. It looked like a turkey for G.I. Joe. When you were sleeping and your toes were sticking out, Gail and I were just like taking your toes and just like making them talk to each other. Like, you better shut the fuck up. I'm the big toe for a reason. I'm sorry if I disrespected you anyway, big toe. No, I'm going to take your ass out. And I don't care if everybody on the foot understands. I'm not, look how much bigger I am. Look, I have nothing but respect for you. You're going out of your way to try to ruin this foot. I would never do that. Shut up, you're waking up the baby toe right now with your big fucking mouth. I'm sorry. Little toe, do you even understand what I'm talking about? Why aren't you paying attention? Because you're taller than everybody. I've got more girth. Where's ring toe? Oh, I'm sorry, that's ringtone. So it's fun to play with your toes when you're sleeping.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I didn't realize this was all going on. I was passed out.
Yeah.
You were out for a while,
yeah,
dude.
you're a sound sleeper.
Oh, yeah, I can sleep anywhere, too.
That terrifying, like, death mask that you have.
Yeah, you get the eyes rolled back. They're semi-open, but they're rolled back.
Oh, that's creepy.
And then the mouth is open.
The mouth is completely, like, the jaw almost seems like detached.
Like, if it would have rained in there, you would have drowned. We should just start pouring water into his mouth.
You're welcome for the drink.
We could have rolled up a newspaper, put it in his mouth, and then poured the water down the newspaper, and then we take it out. There's no water there. Break. Back. Bennington. It's the Bennington Show on a Monday. Last night, Cleveland became the greatest city in the history of the world. Total upset over the city of Golden State. Those people don't care whether they win or lose. San Francisco area, everything good just happens to everybody all the time.
Yeah, it's too nice there for them to have another win.
Even if they had another giant earthquake, just gold would come shooting out, landing in their pockets.
Bad.
Yeah. All right, we had the Big J show the other night on Comedy Central. It did great. Everybody loved it. Started trending on TV. People are just writing the name Big J down so many times. He was excited. Skankfest went great. Everybody was happy. Now it's time for us to give out some prizes we had. What we got, Chris?
All right, first off, we have 5 signed by Big J. Ogerson download cards, which give you a free download of Jay's special, Big J. Ogerson Live at Webster Hall from cc.com. Those winners are at Duck Stanley, at Steel Hauler 717, at Cam M 2929, at Boomer the Dog 021, and at O-Lines Boyd. They're all winners of the download cards.
Congratulations.
Way to go, guys.
I got a thing from, well, the guy that I consider the actual producer of the show. He doesn't want to live a public life, but he always looks out for me. And he said, you might as well reveal the Comedy 101 mentors. Gurian put it in his column, along with a couple of funny lines that happened that night. So that is, so I guess the jig is up, as they say. Jig is up. Did you know that, Chris?
I did not know that.
How come you don't cover the waterfront?
I missed Gurian's column.
How?
I didn't read it yet this week.
And we're into that low energy. Guy, you got more to give out?
I have one last thing to give out. The signed unmasked poster signed by Big J. Ogerson and Ron Bennington. That's going to at Stevie Ray Morris. At Stevie Ray Morris.
Stevie Ray.
Way to go, Stevie Ray. So up on the iBang today, there is an article about Roger Ebert's most hated films. So these are the films that he hated most. I would like to see if you guys agree or disagree. This was his worst ratings of all time.
The worst ratings that Roger Ebert hated. I'm going to guess the worst film of all time, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Not on the list.
The Day the Clown Cried.
Did not make the list.
Santa Claus versus the Martians.
No. From what I hear, that's an excellent film.
Any other guys want to jump in? And
I got one. Freddy Got Fingered.
Freddy Got Fingered did make the list.
Chris Stanley on the Time Green. But then why would you bring it up?
I know Roger Ebert hated it.
He actually gave Freddy Got Fingered 0 stars.
Come on, Rob.
Not
Was that
one
good, though?
star. No. You want more. You want at least 5 minimum. I would disagree with that as a 0-star review. But if
I've never watched it.
I
heard it's terrible, though.
It's very silly and it's very crass. But I think to say something
I've
is
seen
zeros.
clips.
Yeah.
Seems like the Tom Green show to me. And I always enjoyed the Tom Green show.
And well, the thing with it is this is like not in his wheelhouse. But there are a couple that are like big budget or kind of surprising ones. For example, he puts on Armageddon on his worst list.
Armageddon is embarrassing. I think, Vito, you sent in a commentary thing.
Yeah, so Ben Affleck, somebody found Ben Affleck's commentary from Armageddon, and it's just him saying how, like, stupid the plot is, and he asked Michael Bay, like, why wouldn't they just train astronauts to drill a hole? None of this movie makes sense.
Well, that was the thing. They were the best oil people in the world. And let me tell you this. The reason why I'm the best is because my team is the best. Now, we got 1 week to train to go up into space and survive. Rest of you guys, we're wildcatters. Here's the thing. It's a bad, entertaining movie, and you can have those sometimes. It's a bad movie. Even though I think it was probably the highest grossing movie of the year. It's that fucking scene where he's talking about putting an animal cracker into her vagina. He's joking about
Should
it.
I go north or south?
It's just so fucking
cringy.
terrible.
It's really cringy, but I wouldn't put it on my worst movies because
there's
I
some
know
really bad movies.
There's some really exceptionally bad movies, and that's something that you might just be in the mood to rewatch at one point of your life.
Let's be honest about this. Michael Bay has probably made 4 or 5 movies worse than that. If you really wanted to get on a Michael Bay kick, you could enjoy yourself with the terrible movies he's made.
And also, we all thought of it while the movie was going on. It doesn't make sense to say you astronauts aren't smart enough to learn how to drill, but we'll teach these drillers how to be astronauts.
But what about this moment? Don't want to sleep, 'cause I miss you, babe.
Don't want to miss a thing. That was 90% of the movie, was I think people
like that song. And the thing where Bruce Willis saves his fucking daughter's dude and gets to hold that over their lives for fucking ever. That's every father's dream. I gave my life so my children could have a little more happiness. And then later, if they divorce, she'll be like, my dad died for you, you fucking prick.
You son of a bitch.
And you fucked the babysitter. This is why he saved your life, so that you could put your rancid Boston dick into that fucking 18-year-old girl. You disgust me.
And she'd be right.
You know what? Go fuck the dog, too. Because that's all you are. You're a dog fucking another dog. I'm glad my dad died so he didn't say, what a piece of garbage. Aerosmith kind of hated this song as their only #1 hit.
Really? It's the only one that went to...
The only one in his story. #1 on the top 40 charts. So yeah, this is a bad movie. Worst? No. Couldn't be.
He has Brown Bunny on his worst
Never
list.
saw it. Heard everybody hates it.
I never saw it. This is, again, much like Freddy Got Fingered, where I know that there's, crass stuff that happens, real adult stuff. He gives it 0 stars, which I think is saying you don't even think this is a movie. He probably, to him, this is a pornography rather than...
I also think it stunk probably as a movie. I mean, a lot of people gave it bad reviews. All right, 844-ROCK-GOD, 844-ROCK-GOD. Hashtag Bennington, at The Bennington Show, 844-ROCK-GOD. This is Roger Ebert's worst films of all times. We'll see what we agree with and disagree with.
Okay, so here's one that I think you guys will find shocking. The Usual Suspects.
No, that's
No.
insane.
He had given 1.5 stars to.
That should discredit every other review he's ever had.
Really? It's that bad for you?
I think it's that bad for you. That is not a 1.5 star film.
Well, what did he base it on? That the film is, you have to suspend too much disbelief?
Yes, and I think that he thought it was all based on just this one gimmick, and aside from the shocker ending, that there was not any
But it was
substance.
entertaining leading up to that point.
Yeah, like,
you've got a great fucking actor who you can watch just about anything as your lead. The side people were all great. Kevin Pollak was fucking terrific in it.
Yeah.
This isn't even debatable.
Yeah, this is crazy because I think that even if you say, oh, it's a gimmick to have, a surprise ending, and that makes it like not a very rewatchable movie.
By the way, there are plenty of movies that have the surprise ending at the end, and you enjoy them for it.
But this movie has great performances and like good dialogue.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. I've probably watched this movie 20 times in my life and enjoyed it every time. Now, do I feel like it's a realistic portrayal of like a true crime? No. There's a fantastic element to it.
Right.
The guy is above being a genius to plan out all this. It could have went south at any given moment. I don't know why even now he used those people. But it's a fun movie. All right, give us another one.
All right. So, Mr. Magoo. So this was the live action Mr. Magoo with Leslie Nielsen?
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
yeah.
Can you guys say it?
I haven't seen Mr. Magoo, no.
I have no problem saying anything Leslie Nielsen is in, because I never even like those police things that everybody loves.
The Naked Guns?
Yeah.
They were so popular with kids, when I was
still popular
young.
with people. Sean, North Carolina.
I think Ishtar's got to be on there.
I would disagree. I think the first half of Ishtar is fucking hilarious.
I really liked that movie.
Well, it falls apart once they get into the desert and becomes that thing. But when they're just two songwriters writing bad songs, telling the truth can be dangerous business. It's fucking funny as shit.
It in a rock and roll band.
Those guys are really, really funny at that. So the reason why people hated Ishtar is that the word was out that they had spent a ton of money, and you don't see it on screen at all. Right. It just looked like, the stars and director just bought giant houses off this movie. And a lot of people hate. It's less now that they hate if they hear something spent $300 million on it. I still feel like it's ridiculous when I go somewhere and I'm hearing this is a $350 million movie. I'm like, well, it's computer graphics. Can a kid just do that on a laptop?
But that makes you kind of judge it against the standard of having spent
a big
the money.
Movie. Yeah. You judge it against a big movie. So none of us have seen Mr. Magoo. Let's move on from that.
Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo. Has anyone ever seen? I looked at Vito. Vito has seen it.
I have seen the sequel to Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo.
And
even as a kid, I did not like that one.
Wow.
All right. So maybe this one is correct.
I mean, I don't even have to see it to know that it's correct. I've never even seen the first Deuce Bigelow.
All right. Charlie's Angels. So this is the first.
With Lucy Liu?
Yeah, Lucy Liu. Drew
No way would you
Barrymore.
consider it one of the worst of all time.
No.
It's not a good movie. It's not even a good summer movie, but big enough that they made a sequel to. It's got Bill Murray in it.
Yes. And wasn't that when Sam Rockwell first did his sexy dance, and that was the scene that everyone
That's interesting.
remembered?
I don't know whether it's his first, but he did do the sexy dance. Yeah. You can't have Bill Murray and Sam Rockwell in it and not have some interest.
Maybe it was disappointing, but he had given it a half star, which I think that's got to be too far in this one.
I think he was just a giant original Charlie's Angels fan. It was just.
By the way, Cameron Diaz's ass peaked in this film.
Yeah,
peaked
when she danced.
Yeah,
that was her best ass time.
Yeah, and
I
she's had
remember
plenty
she was
of good
in
ass
her
times.
underwear.
She was in her underwear, doing nothing but shaking her ass.
Yeah.
There was no reason.
Awkward kind of white girl dancing.
Yeah.
I remember now. All right, here's one I have never seen. Exit to Eden. but I know that it had
Dan
bad
Aykroyd?
reviews.
I've seen it. It's pretty fucking terrible.
I've seen it multiple times.
You loved it?
As a kid, I liked it.
Why?
I don't know. It doesn't make
The
any sense.
dominatrix.
Well, here's what I hate.
aspect?
I hate a sex comedy that has no sex. I hate an S&M movie that doesn't show what S&M. There's no reason to act like people get off or they're turned on by this.
Right. Much like the 50 Shades of Grey. When I found out that movie is not very sexual.
Well, I watched it. Have you seen it?
No, people told me it was very tame.
At most, there's 38 Shades of Grey. At most. But they say the next 50 Shades is coming, and it's going to be really good.
Those are going to be really different.
50 more Shades of Grey.
All right,
The guy's name is Grey. That's part of the excitement.
Okay, and then like 50 different aspects of how deep Grey can be.
Well, in the book, they say he's 50 Shades of fucked up, and that comes from 50 Shades of Grey.
Gotcha.
You read the book?
I read all three.
What? You have?
It is a shit show. And the movie somehow, the whole thing was just insane.
Is it just one book or there's multiple books?
There's multiple books. There's 3 books.
Did you read them all?
I read them all.
But why would you read them all? Aren't
He's
there
a
like-
housewife.
Because I'm a housewife.
This is so weird. I would not have expected you.
Hey, Jim, what's up?
Hello.
Hey,
Thank you for having me on the show.
that's our job, Jim.
I don't know if this made the list, but my least favorite movie of all time is Very Bad Things, starring John Favreau, Christian Slater, and
I've seen it, and it isn't a good movie, but the worst? Why do you hate it so much?
It's just so cringeworthy. I mean, maybe if that was the point, because it is a kind of a black, dark comedy,
Yeah.
then I guess it's a brilliant film, but it just was such a sequence of errors and idiots.
Yeah, and there's just
things.
Yeah,
And just the way that the hooker dies, it was just, oh my goodness, it just makes my skin crawl.
The thing is, if it is a dark comedy, they still should be laughter. And when people say dark comedy, they just mean dark.
Yeah.
And that some people, sociopaths, may enjoy that. All right, thanks.
If you have no conscience, you will laugh at this.
It's 844-ROCK-GOD, 844-ROCK-GOD. This is a list that came out. Who put it out? The Ebert Foundation, the people?
The list was done by Mental Floss.
Okay.
So this was...
They just did on their own. They went back through his reviews.
Yes, and this is, no particular order. It's just his lowest rated films.
844-ROCK-GOD, 844-ROCK-GOD. Vito, do you have a lowest rated film of all time?
Yeah, I think the worst movie I've ever seen was this movie called How Do You Know? With like Paul Rudd, Jack Nicholson, and Owen Wilson, because I went into it and I was like, oh, this has a great cast. And then they totally fucked it up where like there's 2 guys competing for Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
And they make you root. And like, if you're watching the movie, you're rooting for Owen Wilson because he's just way more likable than Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
And then in the end, like Paul Rudd ends up with the girl, and you just don't understand how it happened.
Spoiler alert for those of us that haven't
come
seen
on.
it. But here's
Somebody
what's
tells me
sad
it's-
about this movie: it's Jack Nicholson's last movie. So then I'm like, well, of course you're not going to leave on a great one. You know what I mean? But that's still rough. All right, give us another one of his.
All right. Mannequin. He gave 1 star to. Now, look, I'm not saying Mannequin's a great movie, but it seems just like of those types of silly, over-the-top kind of...
See, I like it because it's the old Warnermakers stores in it.
Philly's own.
And second, Hollywood is a fun black guy who yells stuff out.
Sure, sassy.
Hollywood's going to take care of that system. Woo! I like the gay black guy who was incredibly sassy.
But there was a lot of movies that were like high gimmick during the like mid to late 80s, I feel. To just pick on Mannequin. I mean, there were a lot like that.
Here's some people writing in. Contact is also the worst. Probably tied for first with Twister. I disagree with both of those. I think
I enjoyed both of those movies,
kind of
even
fun
in
junk.
Yeah,
fun
in
junk.
Novelty type ways.
Stewart Saves His Family. No, I love that movie.
That movie's amazing.
Let's see, Caddyshack 2. Those are always good ones because you look at something and say, you're just, this is a money grab. You're not even bringing back the real people.
Yeah, I had that kind of heartbreak when I saw, was so excited. I was at Blockbuster and saw They made a Meatballs too? I should check this out. No, it's not.
Nobody
the same.
from Meatballs is even there.
No one from
No
Meatballs.
one from the original?
No. And it's not even the same type of humor. It's much more low budget. It's very disappointing.
This is Blue Boy says Wolf with Jack Nicholson is by far the worst. Here's the problem with that. It's a bad movie, and yet there's a couple of interesting things that happen, and you see where they thought they could have made a good movie.
I enjoyed Wolf when I saw it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the worst Wolfman movie, The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro. That was a shit show.
I haven't seen it.
That is really, really horribly bad.
You know, it's always kind of sad when you see that actor that died when his own car ran over him. I don't know his name.
Anton Yelchin.
He was in a movie called 5 to 7. It's not a good movie, but I feel like a couple of tweaks and it could have been a really good movie. But I hate films that act like, here's an alternative lifestyle. And you see everybody is enjoying it. And then at the end, it all comes apart because you're not a normal American with a wife and 2.2 children. It always bums me out.
Right. They're saying this is a different way to live life.
Yeah.
And then that character has to learn, like, actually, I should be like the rest of society.
I need a family like everyone else. So they act like if you don't have a regular suburban family, you're somehow going. And why? Why are you doing that out of everything? That you're somehow a awful person and you pay, even though you were having fun up to that point. Up in the Air was another version of that. Of you're like, okay, this guy's decided to live differently, like from everyone else, and what does he do? He pays with his heart for it,
right?
And then he can't give out his speech, which is a decent speech. Some people would be very well to have less and do less and have less attachments. Marriage and family isn't for everybody. Stop acting like it is. Here's Shane. Shane, you there?
What's going on?
Hey.
Yeah, what's going on, Bennington?
Hey, man.
I'm going all in with the Crying Game.
No, I can't follow in on that one.
Oh,
Chris, you?
No.
You would actually think it's a good movie.
I liked it when I watched it.
I liked it too.
Yeah, I like it.
Benny in Maryland. Benny.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Joe versus the volcano has to be the worst
No,
possible
absolutely not. No way can I agree with you. I love that movie.
He had a brain cloud.
A brain cloud.
I think the people that hate Joe versus the volcano, people that aren't used to reading novels that are a little like absurdist or whatever. You know, it has a very much even Cowgirls Gets the Blues kind of feeling about it.
The premise of the movie was he had a brain cloud, and that's why he was going to let himself be thrown into a volcano.
It was it was the depression of life. The brain cloud, there was a cloud over him living a happy, if somewhat non-safe life, and that you were better off being king for a day than schmuck for a lifetime.
Right.
But if you're just taking it literal, you're like, oh, those things. But for some reason, out of the weirdness that we're able to believe in, aliens and movies and shit like that, but we won't allow any part.
Okay, what is a bigger deal breaker for you? Having somebody say that they love a movie that you hate, or that they hate a movie that you absolutely love?
The Joe versus the volcano. Like, Vito loves a lot of movies that I think are just terrible. But I think that is because he hasn't developed a palate yet. But when somebody says something about Joe versus the volcano, I feel like maybe they've seen something, good, and they're unable to understand that.
Yes, that's what I was just saying. Like somehow that's a more heartbreaking thing. Finding out somebody finds, they get something from something that you're not really into is far less offensive than then saying what you like is shit.
You hate it, really? Well, I hate you now.
And here's
that's why you don't have your old friends.
And speaking of which, this one on the list of Roger Ebert, I believe to be the most crushing on the list. 1 star he gave to Tommy Boy.
What?
How?
And his quote is, "No one is funny in Tommy Boy. There are no memorable lines. None of the characters are interesting except for the character played by Rob Lowe."
Rob Lowe gets some love.
Well, first of all, I do agree with Rob Lowe. I mean, what kind of brother was that dude?
These shoes are worth more than your life.
And he didn't believe in cow tipping. But Tommy Boy, if I was to give that another name, it would be Adorable Boy.
I know.
But I know that Siskel and Ebert, being Chicago guys, they saw Belushi die, and they felt like Farley was going the same way. Now, obviously, he proved them wrong. He's still alive today, still making films. But I think that they weren't able to give him the benefit of the doubt that he was okay.
Now, I've always loved Chris Farley, but I think that this movie, the reason that this is his best one is because this is him tapping into the most, like, sweet, innocent version of himself, which I think was probably a facet of himself. It's very similar to the character he played of himself on SNL when he would be interviewing Paul McCartney going, "Remember when you were in the Beatles?" It's just like, he's just
so
the
adorable.
sweetest.
Yeah. It's that guy that you wanted to take care of. Matt in Connecticut. What's up, Matt?
Point Break 2.
I didn't even know there was... They did a sequel to Point Break? Or
Yeah,
a reboot?
recent.
There was a reboot.
Oh, that's a reboot.
Yeah, it's not a sequel.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I felt like it would be a bad idea.
It was, at one point he says, "My mother was a Ute Indian, so that's why they call me Johnny Utah."
Okay, I like that.
Finally get that Utah thing
Yeah,
explained.
I never understood it. So they call him Johnny Utah. That wasn't his name. David writes in, "Hail Caesar was awful." I don't know what to say to these people. This is interesting. Ryan Beck says, "Did Ebert live long enough to see Jack and Jill?" I don't think so. Last night I watched Midnight Meat Train with Bradley Cooper. It was horrendous.
That's a bad one.
I haven't even heard of this.
That was a real early film of his, where there's like a guy on the subway in L.A. murdering people, a.k.a. the Midnight Meat Train. And the reason is...
That isn't also known as the Midnight Meat Train. His name is the Midnight Meat Train?
They're calling the L.A. subway the Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, okay. I thought the guy was. All right. That makes more sense.
I'm going to spoiler alert this for everyone.
Wait, let me leave the room then.
Who's behind the murdering of people?
Bradley?
Lizard people living under the streets of L.A.
Fuck.
Oh, see, now I wish I
actually
had
seems
seen
really
it.
good.
It's lizard people, everyone.
Yeah. I wish it was Bradley Cooper, though. I always like any movie where the guy who's searching for it doesn't realize that he's the one who did it. That always makes me fucking laugh.
All along.
And he's chasing himself like a fucking dope.
All right, here's another...
But look, there's different ways of looking at people. At movies. Let's suppose you take a giant movie like Transformers, right? That's going to be more hateable to me than Midnight Meat Train, who, seems like they made a straight-to-video piece of crap, don't have the funds. But if someone has $250 million and they still hand in a bucket of shit, you should really get furious at that movie.
Right. If you look at the way they move the plot around or just how ridiculous it is, maybe Trolls 2 might be a worse movie than Batman versus Superman. But you can't really say that's a worse movie.
Right.
Because they're doing something fun. It has entertainment value in some way. And the stakes are lower.
All right, this is the thing. They said that that the campaign manager was escorted from the building.
Really? That
Maybe
makes it
that's why
seems like a security issue.
Yeah, like we don't want you to take you any stuff. This is why I never ever have worked at a place where I brought the plant from home, because I'm not walking out with a fucking box and a plant in it. This fucking Vito, when they fire him, he's gonna have a bag of fucking bobbleheads like a moron.
He is. And I'm taking these laminates.
Good.
These are my collection.
No, I'm going to take those with me.
All I have is my sword. Just still up there.
Oh, they'll definitely not let you walk out. Security will not let you.
You never did make a Periscope with you playing Highlander.
Shit. No, I didn't.
You haven't made a Periscope in a long time, dude.
We're Periscoping on Friday.
That's the
Yeah.
dullest thing to do it like it's a TV show once a week. That's why you went from Scope Bros to who knows.
Oh, no. It's terrible.
Got my ring.
That's the ring you need to have on for your gun to be activated.
Yes, my smart gun ring. I heard about that on 60 Minutes.
Roger Ebert, his worst movies of all time. I'm surprised how many that we disagree. Some we flat out think are good, like Tommy Boy. And some that we're like, come on, there's worse. I mean, This is a bad movie, but there's worse.
This is how I feel about this next one.
Mm-hmm.
The Village. Bad movie, but it's not even the worst by that director.
It's really bad, though.
What's the worst by him?
I would have to. It's a tie between maybe The Happening and Lady in the Water, but I think Lady in the Water actually wins because there's something about The Happening, much like Trolls 2, where I feel like you could gather with friends and watch it, and there you would extract some sort of novelty, some sort of entertainment
you
value.
can smoke pot, watch that, make fun of the fucking movie, make fun of the dialogue. That Lady in the Water is just still...
That feels like your nails are being ripped off.
And there's when it starts, you're like, hey, I'm trying to figure out the mysteries. And then, in no time at all, you're like, these mysteries suck, don't they? This is fucking terrible.
Maybe, but then there was also, what was the Devil in an Elevator one?
Devil in an Elevator. Yeah, that was a couple years ago. I think that was somewhat of a hit, too.
It was just called Devil.
Yeah.
I actually made it more complex, Spice.
Yeah. I walked down on the trailer and I was watching it at my house.
Where'd you go?
I had to go out and throw up, come back in. That's how bad it was. I said it's a dog, a devil dog. I should be one of these fucking people. What do you think is Jermaine Lassier's worst movie of all time? Do you think it's Star Wars?
It's Force Awakens, definitely.
Which one is Force Awakens?
That's the newest one.
You hate it?
Wasn't a fan of it.
It's on regular fucking on demand and I still can't watch it again. I watched it at the theater.
Yeah.
But I can't even go, hey, I'm going to go back and take a look at this. I just thought it was so bad. Now, J.J. Abrams made another kind of bad spinoff the other night. I saw it on demand and I enjoyed it. It's the Cloverfield Lane or whatever.
10 Cloverfield Lane, that's it.
So I turn it on. I'm watching and we're like kind of making fun of it as it's going along. And then I'm like, man, I'm kind of scared of John Goodman. I'm glad I'm not fucking
Really?
Yeah, he's fucking scary in it. He's a really great actor. And then, you wonder whether it's a swerve or not. You get a fake swerve back to a real swerve. It's not a bad movie at all. It's a nice, believe it or not, it's a sci-fi movie, but it's a small sci-fi movie. And those are the kinds I like Moon is my favorite kind of sci-fi movie, when it's how human beings deal in a weird fucking change of the worlds.
Right, and the action of it is not as...
You don't need to see a computer fighting itself, All
right, the next one on the list, The Love Guru.
Never saw it, didn't want to because I didn't want to feel bad.
Yeah, I think that's my reaction as I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
And, I'll always love Mike Myers. I don't want him to have a bad movie.
We're like 9-10 years ago, though. And he hasn't made another major movie, right?
He's just Shrek now.
And even that, do they still make those?
I'm not...
Like straight to DVD, maybe?
No.
I don't think
he's
he
not
would
gonna
do that. No. But I think...
You saw Love Guru?
I saw Love Guru when it came out. Loved it. Great cast at the time. They had Marissa Tomei, Justin Timberlake, Mike Myers.
I had the fucking DVD sitting on my fucking shelf for years. I'm like, I don't want to be in a bad mood and I don't want to feel embarrassed for Mike Myers because I heard it is humiliating.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and just thought, it's not going to be a good situation. It's just going to make me unhappy. Another one on the list, Summer School.
I liked Summer School.
I fucking love Summer School.
Some of these are just kids' movies. He's really hard on comedies, and he's really hard on kids' movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Summer School, is it a good film? No. But is it a good kids' movie? Yeah. If you're a kid and the teacher is showing up for Summer School in a Hawaiian shirt,
Coop?
You
He's
fucking
so
love
chill.
it.
He's so chill. You can do anything in that class.
Doesn't matter.
It's not even really school. Like, a lot of times you could just leave and go surfing if you
And
want.
there's a guy named Chainsaw.
Yeah,
Right.
making horror movies.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of these on this list are, I would say, not meant for him. So it's a weird thing to take 1 star, 0 stars
Right.
for movies. For example, Hocus Pocus is on this list.
By Focus?
And then
Fuck that guy.
I fully
Jesus
agree.
Christ.
That movie is
dead, Vito.
fantastic.
But it's a kid's movie.
It's
right?
a kid's movie, and it's a great kid's movie. Bette Midler is in it, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy.
Yeah, Kathy Najimy.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
to say her
believe it
last
is.
name.
I think you said it. You just have to have the confidence of a Trump to push it out there.
Najimy.
Yeah.
And if it isn't Najimy, it should be. Yeah, that movie's excellent. And yeah, if it came out today, would I be like loving it? I probably wouldn't even go see it. It's for kids. But it was a great kids movie.
ABC Family says that's coming on in the 13 days of Halloween, and you're staying home that night to watch it. That's a classic.
Instead of trick or treating?
Yeah.
The fact that you know what AMC Family has planned for fucking 5 months from now is nuts.
Oh, 13 days of Halloween and 25 days of Christmas. I'm all in for those holiday blocks.
I had no idea.
Oh my God.
I had no idea. All right, but so we're going to agree to that. That first, I don't know this movie, but I know that both you guys saw it as a kid, that's a different audience than for a man to sit there and watch. Like, I couldn't sit around and give Dory Finding Dory. That seems horrendous to me to sit through that.
Right.
But if I had little kids that needed to go to the movie, I would fucking take them.
This is what the kids need right
Yeah.
now.
Also on this list is Spice World. This doesn't even seem like a movie you need to review.
No, that's like getting mad at the monkeys, you know?
Yeah, that's not, it's totally unnecessary.
And we get that it probably does stink.
He hates kids movies and he hates broad comedies.
He hates comedy.
Yeah. Also on this list is Good Luck Chuck, which I haven't seen.
I don't know. Is that
Is it Sandler?
I've seen
No,
it.
it's
a Dane Cook film.
Dane Cook.
How was it?
You're getting what you think you're going to get out of a Dane Cook film. Like there's a lot worse comedies than that one.
Right. So the premise is that he's like
Did Dane ever catch a wave and get it like a good script and get a movie that he could hit?
I think the closest he got was that like Dan in Real Life movie with Steve Carell that looked like it could have been really good.
Right.
And then it fell a little.
See, Dane should have, Ben Stiller would get, I think that Dane would have been able to be good in some of those parts. Or he could have played the villain because he's pretty good at that.
Like somebody's like jerky kind of boyfriend. And
yes, the douche bro. It just seemed like he never caught that Walmart fucking movie that he was in. Nobody could have made that work.
Oh, Employee of the Month?
Yeah.
With Jessica
Dak
Simpson.
Shepard?
Yeah. It just, it was just not something that you could make something out of.
That's one of those movies where I saw it and then I fucking hated Dak Shepard for so long because he was the bad guy in that movie and it stuck with me.
Dude, Dax, I really thought was real when he was on Punk'd. I thought he was, I'm like, that's the douche from Punk. Now I think he's a genius. But at the time, I'm like, this guy's fucking really annoying everybody.
All right. One of his lowest, Clifford.
Clifford was a film I always loved as a kid.
It's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with that movie. Obsessed with it. Saving Silverman. Again, broad comedy.
Yes.
And totally not
It grew on me.
half star.
That's one I still love and I'll still quote to this day. Saving Silverman is like young Jack Black. And I love Neil Diamond, so it's awesome.
The Neil Diamond stuff is very funny.
Oh, come on, yeah.
The stuff where he's saying the name like he's in a mask, but he's still talking like it's so
weird.
ridiculous. But yeah, Jack Black is always going to save something a little bit.
The Dukes of Hazzard movie.
I don't think I ever made it through. I do like the video where she's dancing around.
That's the best part of the
rubbing
film.
herself all over the general way.
Very hot.
The weird thing is that her dad was standing with her while she did that, they said.
He'd love to be way too close.
That's disgusting what you're saying. What you're bringing up right now is suable.
Oh no.
Mm.
Take that back.
This is a good
Julie.
segue into Ghost Dad. Ghost Dad is also on the list.
Who's that, Cosby?
That's Cosby's.
Never saw it.
But I never saw it, but I know that it was
When
definitely.
I was at Skankfest the other night, a guy shows me his giant Bill Cosby tattoo.
Oh boy.
And instead, we just laughed in his face.
Yeah.
I would have to say that the person has to pass away. They have to already be dead in order for you to tattoo. So you know that the legacy is not going to change too much.
So you're just like, get a Jim Morrison for yourself.
Exactly. Somebody who's already gone. Their full body of work is out there. No new information is coming in.
All right, if you had to get a tattoo of a living artist, who would it be? Living person.
Oh my God.
Vito, you. The Rock?
No, probably Shawn Michaels.
Okay. Michael Hickenbottom?
Yeah, Michael Shawn Hickenbottom.
I guess I'll get Marty Jannetty.
Were you
then.
here when he was here?
We'll just-
No, I heard about it though, and I was really jealous.
Dude, we were best buddies when he left. He thought he was going to get attacked in here.
Man.
Because he's a Christian. I'm like, I don't know why people think I'm the devil. How about you?
Jack and Meg White.
Oh. I guess I'll just get like a hipster Bill Murray tattoo.
I am halfway through a 3.5 hour documentary about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and I'd be happy to have a Tom Petty, a Mike Campbell, or a Benmont Tench. Those fucking guys are unbelievable. They're a great band, and I cannot believe the number of fucking hits that they have.
It's crazy. Is it a new doc?
No, I think it's from 2007. And I think it's 3.5 hours.
It's awesome.
It's going to be a badass tattoo.
Dude, here's the thing about Tom Petty. So he's got this fucking great Southern rock band. And they're fucking unbelievable. Then he's fighting the record company. He's willing to burn down everything. And while that's happening, he makes Damn the Torpedoes, this great fucking album. So, boom, they're big rock stars. He then turns around and with the biggest, he takes himself and the Heartbreakers and tours for 1.5 years with Dylan as his backup band. While they're the biggest rock and roll touring band, he does that. Comes out with it, the Wilburys, and then as a solo project, makes an amazing, just pure California album. And you're like, this fucking guy is 1,000,000 times better than people give him credit for. 1,000,000 times.
He's very underrated. And I told you.
How can you be as highly rated as is? Because everyone acknowledges him as a great rock star. And yet, you're right. He's underrated to the fact that he's actually also a genius.
Yeah. And I told you once I had to listen to two people mocking him.
I'll fucking kill those hipsters.
And I said to them, you don't know what you're talking about.
Let's call them
and they
down
were,
and yell, fuck you at them.
Give Vito their number.
All right.
Vito, their number's 1. Get them. They're the first people ever to have a phone. Oh, by the way, Tom Petty, if you don't know this, has a great radio station. And I like, buried treasure. Oh, that treasure is buried. Buried treasure. Where's the treasure buried? It's fucking so great. But then you listen, and he just plays all, just like his favorite records of all time. Sometimes there's even some Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oh, nice.
Which is great.
Here's one of mine I like.
This fits in perfectly. Let's break right now. Did you finish out the list?
Well, I just wanted to add one last shocking one.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
That's crazy.
Screw Roger.
Jim Carrey proved his brilliance because no one else could have made that movie a hit. And that fucking movie, as dumb as it is outright a fucking scream.
I might actually have to change who my living tattoo tribute is to.
To Roger Ebert?
No, Jim Carrey as Pet Detective.
What's the last big thing that Jim did? It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Vito should know.
I'm going to say, the Dumb and Dumber sequel came out. I guess before that would be like Yes Man or Bruce Almighty. Maybe would it?
It's a long time since Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, that's the last big one, I guess.
Wow.
2003, Bruce Almighty.
It was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck with that tattoo.
Oh, boy.
Why don't you get a tattoo of him and Yes Man? See if that works for you. Break. Back. Bennington. Hey, it's the Bennington Show. Monday. On Friday, 2 o'clock, and all weekend long, Ali Wong Unmasked. It's a lot of fun. And then 9 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, we're going to be playing Comedy 101, Tell a Joke or Be a Joke. I guess the iBang has already put out who our judges are, so go over and check out Jeffrey Gurian's column for that. But the judges were absolutely on fire. We'll be talking about it later on this week. But I'd love for everybody to everyone heard the one that we did at Thanksgiving. And I took a while to say, let's do another one because I didn't think we could ever pass that.
Yeah, we had, it felt like we had the perfect judges. We had the perfect...
everything.
Yeah. So good, great food.
Johnny was there.
Jenny. But yeah, it was a blast. And I'm excited to share both of these because I feel both the Ali Wong Unmasked and the Comedy 101 because I feel like we just had this whirlwind week.
I know. We've been doing a lot lately.
Yeah. Keeping busy. We had a very, our trip to DC. It was like a good bonding trip.
Yeah. Except for Vito wasn't there.
Except for Vito.
Look, Ezra wrote this. I love Vito, but he sounds like a child at the adult table, jumping in with adolescent opinions. Good grief. Well, he kind of is that.
Yeah.
That's
what we love about our Vito. Young Master Vito, as I call him.
I'm glad you guys love that about me.
He's like a dope.
Love.
Right?
Simpleton.
Yeah, simpleton.
Yeah.
Right.
Sweet little dummy.
Right. He's the town fool.
Yeah. He's our bonehead.
And those are all compliments, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
He's the jizz drinker. The animal fucker.
Yeah. Just our guy, you know?
I wouldn't be surprised to look over and see him just spooning shit into his mouth out of his own ass.
Freak show.
I
wouldn't. Yeah.
I wouldn't bat an eye.
I can't believe we don't have him in a wagon, taking him town to town, and having him biting the head off chickens.
We can make it happen easy enough.
That's what I like to call caregiving. By the way, I gave you that other album. Is the song Davey the Fat Boy on there?
I have to check.
Because I don't know what's on that. I think it's 12 songs is the one I gave you, the live one.
Yeah. That's
Davey the Fat Boy is this song by Randy Newman where these parents say, take care of our son. It's your job. We're going to die. You take care of him. And then he does take him around as the fat boy who dances for money. Davey the Fat Boy, isn't he round? Isn't he round? What do he weigh, folks? Can you guess what he weighs? Oh, it's only a quarter. With a teddy bear for the girlfriend, something for the wife. You gotta let my fat boy in your life. I think we can convince him to do this famous fat boy dance for you. But we've got a guy coming in here. Well, I don't know if you could have a cooler career than being the producer for the David Letterman show I think he worked with Letterman back from the 80s on.
He was an intern with David in 85.
And went on to become executive producers?
Yep.
That's amazing.
And head writer.
Now he's got a new movie coming out.
Now, did he
Netflix.
work with the Stangles?
Yeah, I would imagine that they would have crossover then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was also the president of Worldwide Pants, which is just nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him which one he likes better.
It's Rob Burnett, one of the great... Now, he's got this movie out that became the hit of Sundance.
The Fundamentals of Caring.
And that's premiering on Netflix June 24th.
That should be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's like I've seen the trailer so far. It's not out yet, but it looks very sweet.
Yeah, it's Paul Rudd's taking care of a kid with muscular dystrophy.
I'm in with Paul Rudd. So
And Selena Gomez is in it.
The lovely Selena.
All right, so he'll be in here in just a couple minutes.
Just a few minutes, yeah.
Now, they don't want us to see this film. They want us to watch it with Netflix like everybody else, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It was based off a novel as well.
Good. I like a novel turned movie. This was the hit at Sundance, bought by Netflix, and it's available when? June 24th?
June 24th. It's this Friday.
Let's bring him in to the show, Mr. Rob Burnett.
Rob Burnett is in studio with us. The new film, The Fundamentals of Caring, premieres this Friday, June 24th on Netflix. Go to netflix.com to watch.
Now, you took this to Sundance, but then signed the deal with Netflix even before it played?
Yes, it couldn't have been lovelier for me because it made Sundance tremendously fun. Yes, we had some screenings in Los Angeles, and Netflix bought the movie right before it premiered at Sundance. They wanted to get it off the market.
Now, people haven't really, I mean, there was a time Sundance would be the place, like in the 90s, you would take your films that people would bid, but then it got very chill for a few years. So that's got to be nerve-wracking when you're making an independent film, right?
It is. It's terrifying, but what can you do? You have to focus on the task at hand and make the best movie you can make. I would say that, having Paul Rudd and Selena Gomez in your movie, you kind of feel like, well, I don't think this is going to end up being a paperweight. You know what I mean? Like there has to be some bottom value there. But no, this has all played out better than I could have ever hoped.
But the subject of your movie is not stuff that the studios normally like.
Correct. Yes. No. It's a very tragic story told in a comedic way. The gist of it is Paul Rudd plays a guy who has suffered a horrible tragedy before the film starts, and out of desperation, he learns to be a caregiver and starts taking care of a kid with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, played by Craig Roberts. And this sounds, oh my God, this is going to be super depressing, but they're both really funny. And it never leans into that tragedy or sentimentality. So it's, I can tell you in the screenings that we've had across the country and in festivals in Scotland last week, the film plays to huge laughs, which is really satisfying, and tears, of course, but it plays as a comedy, I think.
Well, none of us are ever going to get out of caregiving. You're going to, at some point in your life, you're going to be involved.
Right.
And it brings out the best and then, unfortunately, the worst in you. And you'll have no regrets in your life. Like the ones that you go like, God, why did I say that then? Why did I get frustrated then? It's really, it's probably the least spoken about thing, truthfully, that we have going.
Yeah. It's interesting how you were looking at your daughter.
Yes. Well, I know.
That was you basically saying, you get it, right? You got them. I have the same conversation with my daughters. I'm like, you got to really take care of old people.
Right.
You get that, right?
Well, I actually think to myself, I'll stab myself in the neck before I become a burden. Like I'm actually nervous about being the person that makes everybody, stop their life for.
I think what it's all about is attitude, ultimately.
Yeah.
If you have a good attitude, people, it makes everything easier. In this movie, what's interesting to me, and partly what drew me to this material, is that the version of this story that I've seen before is you have the kind of irascible caregiver come in and breathe life into the ill or injured.
Right.
In this case, Paul Rudd's character is every bit as injured and damaged as the kid he's taking care of. And neither of them has any particular inclination to help the other. But they both are really funny, and they bond from the first scene together. They bond through humor, and then accidentally breathe life back into each other. And that's really the inspiration and the kind of heroism in the movie is to watch these two guys go from being completely dead inside to just living a little bit. And by the way, neither will ever get over their circumstance. Paul's character will never get past his tragedy, and Trevor will never get out of the wheelchair. But just seeing these two get out of the house is very uplifting.
Well, I think it's cool too that you said he'll never get over his tragedy. We do live with a lot of scars that other people never see. But also thinking of comedy, I think that's a lot of healing that takes place in any kind of comedy that maybe wasn't set out to be a healing thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I think also even in that circumstance when you're talking about caregiving and looking out for someone else's health, I think that when you experience it, you also realize like how much humor happens in that connection and that type of intimacy.
No, we've gotten a lot of that. That's a comment I've gotten a lot of people that are caregivers have said to me, you know, God, you really got something here, because any story that we've ever seen about caregiving, it's all about kind of the nuts and bolts of the caregiving. And we are not really a deep dive into that, to be clear, but they said, oh, you really, you know, I cared for my dad and, you know, he was hilarious, or I cared for this guy and he was mean. And that's largely what we set out to do, is have a full character that's not defined, you know, by his illness. And one of the most satisfying things for me is there's a guy named Case Levinson who is the real life Trevor that Jonathan Evison based the book on. And Case and his mom were at Sundance and saw the film, and afterwards Case adored the movie, and his mom gave me a hug, which meant the world to me. And I think the reason was that, you portrayed me as a full character. I can be funny, I can be mean, you know, it's not, oh my God, you're a saint because you're in a wheelchair. So yeah, I think it's really just about people at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is funny that you say that too. We do have a tendency to go, that person is in a wheelchair. Isn't he brave? No, he doesn't have a choice. This is where he is right now.
Yes.
So you deal with it the way that you deal with it. But, you know, most of this fight is just for survival, which is a losing thing for every single person on the planet.
Right. I think that's how this movie kind of resonates and ripples out, is that you look at these two guys and, you know, they're dying day by day, but you know, not to be corny about it, aren't we all? So you start to look at this and say, well, you know what, maybe the small pleasures is kind of all it's about.
Well, that's another thing about comedy, because you started with Letterman in the early 80s, right?
85, yeah.
And there was a time, maybe like a year or two before that show kept me alive. Like there was people don't realize this sometimes when you get involved with this show, that if I could just make it to that time of night, see that absurd comedy, I'd be able to deal the next day. It never gets said, but there are sometimes when bad things happen to you, you need comedy more than ever.
I think that's entirely true. It's the only way I know how to cope with the ridiculousness of all of this. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what else are you going to do? Because I mean, you can't explain it, you can't solve it, so you got to make fun of it. It's your only hope.
But that must have been amazing for you working on that show at that time when they were just breaking every rule that I mean, that must have been even more fun than when you moved up the ladder, just first coming into that world.
Yeah, it was amazing. My career at Letterman kind of happened in phases. And first I was a 3-year-old kid starting there as an intern, and I couldn't believe I was in that building. There were so many smart people there. The comedy, you know, it was a smaller universe back then, a lot less shows. So that writer's room really was as good as it got. You know, it was the best of the best. In fact, that comedy room went on to create, or not create, but at least really propel The Simpsons and many other shows on television. So just to be around these people like Merrill Markoe, who was the original head writer of the show, Steve O'Donnell, all these guys, you just felt like you were getting better just by being in the same room as them. And then when I got to be finally got to be a writer on the show, and then amazingly became head writer when I was 29, which I think was just nuts, honestly. I was nauseous for a year and a half. But it was a very thrilling experience to be kind of driving that bus.
And that, I guess, had everything to do with the rest of your career. The chances that show used to took place at that time, I don't know if anyone can even do anything now that can be shocking. Yeah. But at the time, if you're a young person and you're watching this, you're like, is this even happening? Can this happen?
Yes.
You know, can this conversation take place on TV?
Yeah, it's hard to explain that to people, because I try to like show my kids some things and it doesn't hold up in a certain way because they don't understand. I have to try to explain, back then television was super professional. So the idea that you'd put a guy like Larry Bud Melman on television was amazing. The fact that Dave is talking to the stagehands is amazing. Nuts. And now that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
It's all non-professionals on television. Yeah. That's the norm. Right. So, and still to this day, as I look around and see things in there's a part of the comedic culture that comes from that show. You know what I mean? And it's
by
there.
Downplaying the show. Exactly.
Yes.
Or
ESPN, you see it throughout there. Any weatherman on it is now the norm, where it was before that, like you would watch Sonny or Cher or something, they would act like they had the biggest show. Right. Even though hey, everybody's here,
And to show when a bit or a premise didn't work out, and to allow that to be part of the show.
Dead air.
Would never
Right. Yes.
Dead air, just laying there, and you're just like, holy shit, this is the most exciting thing ever.
Yeah.
So do you think that set you up where you could look at a project like this and go, we are going to do something different?
Yeah, I think the Letterman show is a big part of my development in a lot of ways. I mean, first of all, the sensibility that I have comes really from there. I was a kid working there, so it's largely formed that way. The other thing that's great about the Letterman show and other shows like it is that you're working on a staff with, say, 10 or 12 people. When you have an assignment to go write a top 10 list or whatever it is, you're used to 10 or 12 other people doing the same thing you're doing. Mm-hmm. So it pushes you to not take the obvious route. Right. Because there's no point. If you write a joke that 5 other people have also written, who cares? You know what I mean? Yeah. And Dave was extremely difficult on material. So you just became very used to having the first 3 ideas that most people would settle for thrown out and reaching for that odder, twistier version of things, if that makes sense.
It's always interesting to see who can break through there and who cracks under pressure. Mm-hmm. When someone says, especially early on like you were, oh, I tried it, it broke me, I couldn't do it, I got out. You're just like, well, you're never going to get that moment, that you break through and find out whether you can hit big league pitching or not.
Yes, I think in my case, I remember very distinctly when I first became head writer, and the guy I replaced, a guy had been there 8 years, this guy Steve O'Donnell, who was just the smartest, funniest guy I've ever seen.
One of the first of the funny Harvard guys, wasn't he?
Yes.
After him, it seemed like everyone had to go to Harvard.
Well, the room was filled with Harvard at that point, and these were really smart, funny people, and Steve, the head of that. And so when he left, it felt ridiculous. It felt like, you were putting on Babe Ruth's uniform, all loose to go take batting practice. And I remember very distinctly in the beginning of my career as head writer, failing, honestly. It was not going well. And I got to a point where exactly what you were saying is I just thought, well, this is my shot. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down and I'm going to take a big cut at this ball. And luckily, things started to shift and then I found some success.
Yeah. I love that thing of the guys who just keep battling no matter what's happening. And there's not that there's any, it's only as you get older that you look back and go, that kind of failure is so much better than the running away failure.
And that kind of gig too, I think, is the type that people think, oh my God, how fantastic, how incredibly fun. And they don't think about the heat of being in those rooms and, having to produce.
When you find out the people who loved working on Saturday Night Live and then other people, it just caved them in. Some of the funniest people.
Yeah. The worst time of their lives.
Great
they say
careers.
Yeah. No, these comedy shows are often not quite what you think they're going to be behind the scenes. At the Letterman show, no one was running around, with banana peels. It just was not that kind of environment. It was serious business. It was probably too serious at certain times. I thought it maybe weirdly had a self-importance that probably wasn't fully justified in retrospect, but it was what it was, and you had to kind of perform, as best you could.
Well, when you guys started spinning off and doing other shows with Wear White Pants, what were the first ones that?
Well, we did some early ones. A great writer named Adam Resnick did a show called Em and Earl on HBO that was fantastic. Did not have a hugely long run, but nonetheless had a lot of quality. There was the big first real one was Everybody Loves Raymond, of course, which we developed.
Which also wasn't a hit right off the bat, right?
No, it was actually teetering, almost off the air. People don't remember that. It was really just hanging by a thread. But they found an audience, and we had, the way that show came about is we made a deal with Ray Romano to develop a show. We partnered with HBO and then found Phil Rosenthal and put them together. And it was a little bumpy at the beginning. And then that was a very good collaboration between those two guys, because I think Ray had a certain quirk to him, and Phil had a very strong kind of nuts and bolts sitcom background. And the two of them kind of met in the middle. And what more can you say about that?
Well, here's what I love about Phil too: is he's the way that I have always wanted every Jewish person in show business to be. You know what I mean? Where it's that 1950s, just eating Chinese food and writing jokes.
Yes.
And he brought that, I think, in, like, he was just relentless until that show was a hit. But did you guys worry about, were you hands-on with all these projects that you were doing at the time?
Everyone Loves Raymond, I feel like I can't take a ton of credit for. We would look at scripts, we would give notes. Certainly in the beginning, we gave our notes as a studio would, but really, for me, we come at this a slightly different angle. I'm not exactly an executive. I'm a writer. And so I never wanted an executive producer on Raymond because I felt like I wasn't writing the show. And so when I look at that show, I give all the credit to Phil and Ray and everybody that did that show. You know what I mean? I don't want to take any credit for it.
Well, there's always this thing, but somehow you got to find the essence of whatever the comedy was in stand-up and then move it over to the sitcom. It seems like it would be easy, but look how rare that happens.
It's hard. And the beginning of that show, I thought was pretty bumpy on that before, but every show needs time to find its footing. But I remember at the beginning, having some tussles over it, because I had a great responsibility to Ray, because I just know how this goes, that this was his shot. It started with him. If this thing doesn't go well, everybody else is going to go off and have lives, and Ray will never get another shot.
Yeah, he's playing Yuck Yucks this weekend.
Exactly.
That's what would happen.
Yes. And it took a little time, but they found their way pretty quickly, and off they went. So it's, one of the best sitcoms in the history of television.
I've always thought to myself, like, you look at certain comics, Brian Regan always seemed like a slam dunk.
Yes.
The same thing.
Hilarious.
No one, I don't think, in the history of the Letterman show came in and nailed stand-up as many times.
He's a miracle. I think that guy is hilarious. And we have tried to develop, with Brian, because I'm very friendly with Roy Rosegarten, who is Brian's manager and Ray's manager, and Brian has been just tremendous for us. He's enormous, and we've tried to develop things with him, and we just haven't found a way yet. But he's such a good stand-up, though. I agree with you that I think if he finds the right thing, he will explode.
It was so strange for me to see him on the Tonight Show the other night. I'm like, after all those years. But Dave, because he was always happy to come in, we'd have him once or twice a year and just kill it every single time.
Dave loved him. Was always one of Dave's favorites. Dave was always laughing when Brian was doing his stuff. It was just so silly and goofy, and he's just tremendous.
Did Dave get how much that meant to people? Was he able to let that in? Because I know that's a tough thing to do, but I've talked to people who said they were doing their shot there, and we'll look over and see that Dave was either laughing or smiling, and it just set them off.
I guess I don't really know the answer to that. It would be hard for me to imagine that Dave did not know that. Just based on his own background of going on the Carson show and what it meant for Johnny to approve of you. I think Dave had a full sense of his place in the world.
He really took over, I think, that status of wanting the comics wanting the approval.
And no one else got it. No one else. I don't think even to this day that might be the end of, hey, there's one guy that I think I want, to think that I'm funny.
Yeah.
Did you see Norm Macdonald's last appearance on our show?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Just fantastic.
It was amazing.
Fantastic.
And there was no reason for everyone to choke up at that set. And it was one of those things where everyone said to each other the next day is like when he started to go, because everyone knows what a prick Norm Macdonald is.
Yes.
And for him to crack.
Yep.
He was a human being, and it's almost like when you're at a funeral and your terrible uncle, starts to cry for a second.
Right.
Everyone loses it.
That's right.
This, now that you've got this coming out and is going straight to Netflix, you don't realize, or you won't be able to tell how many people are watching it, but this seems to be more numbers than you can get anywhere else, I think.
Yeah, for us, I mean, the idea of a movie like this, 190 countries simultaneously on Friday, 81 million subscribers in 12 languages, that's just mind-boggling to me, honestly.
It is strange, and I just did, Ali Wong did a special on there, and she'd never really toured, and boom, she's selling out in places she's never been to.
Yeah.
Tom Segura told me his special was a life changer. So you'll never get the numbers, but I can't imagine a bigger opening.
Right.
That
you'll feel it though. I know from my own world when I was doing my show Ed, when I was doing the Letterman show, and various points where the show is popular, then less popular, you can just in an unscientific way feel,
Right.
you'll know if you're at a party and you say the fundamentals of caring, if people are like, what's that? Or, oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
The nice thing about this movie is, it has a lot of playability, as they call it. The screenings, it's a very fun movie to screen because, they're huge laughs and it's an emotional ride. So people have really liked it. So I'm hoping that because it's on Netflix and it's just so effortless to click on it and to recommend it to somebody that it kind of, catches fire. And certainly now that people are hearing us on this show.
Absolutely. Now it takes
kind of
up.
a guarantee.
But, just having Paul Rudd, like if I'm going through them, I'm like, oh, Paul Rudd movie.
Exactly.
Like,
Absolutely.
It's a lot different than going to the theater. You're just like.
You're more likely to take a chance on something that you weren't so sure about.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
And I think that independent film, I just hope that we got to keep this alive. There's so many films now that are just following the same thing.
Yeah.
It's always great when one breaks through. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Friend.
This is a thrill. Thank you.
Obviously a big fan of your work for many, many years. The Fundamentals of Caring premieres this Friday, June 24th on Netflix. Go to netflix.com to watch. I'll see you again next time you're coming through, my friend. And that it for us, Chris? All right, see everybody again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!